All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fight. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night, Ulberg versus Reyes, taking a look at UFC 320 and also going over every single fight from Dana White's Contender Series Week 7. And to do all of that with me, as always, the Ohio player, my good friend and co-host, a man who brings the thunder from down under, according to the ladies, Mr. Chase Parton. How are you, sir?
Dude, I'm awesome. It's a really good motherfucking day. Monday night, of course. Everybody, we had fights on Saturday. The following, or the Tuesday back, we had fights, and we're going to talk about those, which were really good. So I am just excited to be here. But before we get into anything else, because the chat is really jumping about it right now, we
Sure.
are going to talk about what happened. This was the most recent thing that happened, but it's just the first thing that we're going to talk about. Vanderlei Silva got knocked unconscious in a boxing match. What do you have to say about that before we start breaking down everybody's comments? Because we're necessarily going to do that because everybody's just going fucking crazy.
Apparently, yeah. Chad is jumping today. Appreciate all you guys coming in early. Yeah. So I had only heard about it. I think actually during the Australia event that we're going to be talking about tonight, the UFC event, and I think that you posted it in the Discord, and I didn't even know. I knew that he was boxing. I thought he was supposed to be boxing Vitor Belfort. I guess that fell through. Belfort pulled out, so he was boxing like a what I thought was an influencer. But then I come to find out that this boxer that he was fighting was, I guess, a credentialed boxer. So maybe the wires got a little crossed on that part of it. But either way, fight goes on, and it was apparently not a great deal to begin with because he was like 40 pounds heavier than his opponent, and then he started trying to do like MMA related stuff in the fight, or he was trying to headbutt or something like that. Like he was apparently acting pretty goofy during the fight itself, and the fight ended up getting called off early. And then after the fight is when the actual incident with him getting knocked out took place.
Let me break down my point of view, and then I also want to talk about the things that I think were, crucial to the context here. So, I was in the voice chat watching the UFC card, just like a lot of people. Maybe not the voice chat, but if you necessarily think you should be, obviously Discord links are available. Anyway, so Nav was watching with me, and he says, "Chase, can you go see if you can find a video? I just they're saying Vanderlei Silva got knocked unconscious," and I'm like, well, this should be interesting. So, I typed in Vanderlei Silva, and the headline is that he was knocked unconscious in an after match skirmish. Okay. So, anyway, that was brutal. The actual video itself we'll definitely talk about, but it was unfortunately horrible. And so you get more into it and you keep watching, and then you do see that Vanderlei was definitely headbutting this dude. Like, I was like watching and I was like, oh, maybe well deserved. I mean, like, yo, this is kind of crazy for him to be headbutting him like this. I not well deserved. I didn't obviously mean to insinuate that, but like, yo, he was obviously dirtying it up to begin with. And then when you get, the security guards into it and the fact that they're fucking throwing punches, like, security is supposed to be just like those shove away kind of deals, like hold people back. Like there should never be punches thrown like that. Anyway, also, crucial to note that Vanderlei Silva, yes, Big Boar's MMA, the CTE thing that they have been talking about with Vanderlei, that, it is known that he's going through a lot of different things, and another thing, I think Hydra actually mentioned the headbutts. That's actually what I wanted. The three headbutts and a knee. I didn't see the knee part, but Hydra, shout out you because you did bring up the headbutts first. And there's just so much wrong. I don't know. There's just a lot to take in. I think I just wanted to get all the thoughts out on it. I mean, the video itself, like I said, is horrible. Well, you get a lot of different angles. You get one of him getting knocked out, and then you get another of him, which is now a GIF on Twitter, which is absolutely horrible, by the way. I know you don't actually know that, but this is a GIF on Twitter that people have been sharing around of him getting drugged back to the corner, like, his lifeless body, of course. And
Yikes.
it's just horrible community work. That these are the people that are coming in, and they're not necessarily the fans of the sport, but they understand that they can capitalize on the moments from it. There's a lot of shock and awe. So like things like that, like it just sucks to see, unfortunately. And I don't know, the video is just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, to me at least, based on all of what you're saying and the little I knew about the situation to go into this, is that it was just a lot of bad actors on both sides. Like, obviously, he should not have gotten knocked out, especially after the fight had concluded. I mean, that's an assault charge, basically.
Mhm.
I mean, there might be some charges coming from that, perhaps. I mean, I think this took place in Brazil, so I don't know what the legalities are there. But either way, I mean, it sounds like there was blame to go around in varying degrees on all sides. Now, as I said, the assault is going to be unwarranted regardless. But if he's going into a fight and he's that much overweight. I mean, he's coming in doing illegal moves during the fight to the point where apparently the fight got called off. Early. I think it was round 3 or 4 or something like that. I think round 4. So if he's fouling his opponent to the point of the fight getting called, and then this happens afterwards, it just sounds like there was like a lot of a negativity on both sides of the equation, and perhaps this was just a cursed event that ended really poorly.
Yeah, I really, gosh, Boars and Hydra, they are really saying everything that needs to be said. I mean, there's just wrong at every stage. These fighters that are older and taking these fights that have, have been in a lot of fights where they take literal brain damage. Like, they should just be able to call it a quits. There should be things set up for them not to have to come back and fight. Like, what were the circumstances that had Silva questioning if he could return if he wanted to? Like, that's unfortunate. When you see people like Chuck Liddell and you see the state, or Matt Hughes, I think is another one.
Sure.
It's like, no way do you think that Forrest Griffin, why would they need to think that they could get back in the cage? Stefan Struve is another good example. I don't know if you guys have seen recent pictures of him. He's even said like his body just doesn't work properly anymore because of fighting. And at that height. Anyway, it just sucks to see. It just sucks to see that they have to get put in the situation that this is the opportunity for them. They should be on to bigger ventures. I'm not saying it's like evolve or like grow up type of thing, but like at a certain point, I do think turning into the business mogul should be like the turning point. It's, you got to put the fighting down and figure out how to get it on the books. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, I think that you were right. I do think it's evolved at that point, because I mean, there is only physically so much that your body can withstand as you get older, and really, I mean, the mental aspect of it, bringing up the CTE. I mean, he had already had those kind of rumors circulating that he was already experiencing that. So to put himself back into a combat situation with potential CTE damage already, I mean, you're asking. I mean, like, so this reminds me a little bit of a movie called Any Given Sunday. I don't know if you ever heard of this movie, Oliver Stone film from the early 2000s, but really,
Is this a fighting movie or is
no,
it okay?
it's actually about football.
Oh,
But really good. It's actually really a great movie about sports in general and about like the business and back end of sports. Very well made. Highly recommend this film. But there's a scene in it where there's a character who's a football player who he's got to make a certain amount of tackles in order to get like his bonus. $1 million bonus is on the line, but he's also experiencing like CTE like symptoms. And and they're basically saying like, one good hit can change your, you could be paralyzed for life if you get hit a certain way. And he's pushing through all of that kind of stuff or whatever. And it's like, that's an extreme example of it in a completely different sport. But you got to think that the translation is something like that with combat sports, where the whole intent is to injure your opponent and be injured in return. That you really have to have self-preservation in mind with these kinds of things, and some of these fighters just they can't break out of that mold. They have to evolve. It's
you,
unfortunate.
it's crazy, and I'm gonna credit someone, but I think the context is obviously gonna throw you off. So let me explain.
Hmm.
Conor McGregor did a great job transitioning into the business mogul side of his adult life. Instead of being a fighter, physicality is one portion that you're able to utilize, and then you have to move on from that, and you have to be able to utilize other things to your advantage. Conor was able to transition well, but obviously after he went through the traumatic fucking injuries type of thing. It's not after, he was doing it before, but that just happened in the midst of it. So it is kind of an exception outlier situation. But there's just no reason that I should see in the chat that Frankie Edgar's got to fight in BKFC after all those KOs he's received. Like, it just genuinely should not happen. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, Connor might be a little bit of an outlier due to the amount of money that he was able to work with, but
Yes.
you're not wrong though. I mean, like, having this is you want to take this deeper. This goes back to why I'm such an advocate for there being a fighters union, because it's really like, I mean, in the moment, in the negotiations, fight over fight, yeah, you can make a case that, that's not as important, perhaps. I mean, I still think it is personally. I think the fighters need to be paid what they're worth for every fight. But really, my biggest thing is exactly this: it's post career support, because a lot of these guys have no safety net in place for when their career is over, whether they deem their career over or not. And that's the biggest problem, is a lot of these guys cannot accept they either cannot accept it, or they do not have a plan for it. And either which way, that's a setting yourself up for exactly this kind of a situation. Now, I mean, we're taking this thing kind of in a different direction. Obviously, had Vanderlei just fought this fight normally and everything went down as
Or
were,
or just not taking the fight at all and have had the things set in place. Dude, this dude's had a career for like 20 years. You're telling me he did not have the opportunity to make, more with his investments,
right. Well,
make
and
more
that's,
with what he
yeah.
had,
And
so
that's my point, is that it's like, yeah, I mean, we're kind of taking it 3 steps, but if you take it back those two, it's like he didn't have to be in the situation to
yeah,
begin with, and all of this could have been avoided. Then there's layers on top of that. So yeah, I mean, really, I think that that's one of the biggest reasons that there needs to be representation of these fighters, is for their own benefit. I mean, and also for talk about the medical side of things with the insurance and stuff like that. It's not just for insurance in like a day-to-day capacity. It's exactly for this as well. It's post-fight medical coverage, so that in case things like this, as far as their mental state goes, that they're covered for these types of things. And a lot of times these guys, especially if they weren't so great managing their money earlier in their career, sometimes they feel like they have to fight, and then they're in that big, dangerous situation where it's like, on the one hand, I kind of have to fight to survive. On the other hand, I'm risking every inch of my life by doing it. And
mhm.
that's a very dangerous position to be in. So, it goes both ways. It really cuts both ways on why I think that representation is so important for these guys, to hopefully keep some of these dudes out of the situation that Vanderlei finds himself in.
100%. So yeah, I think that was a good one to start on, since everybody in the chat seemed to have an opinion. If you have anything else left to say, go ahead, say it now. But we are going to move on. So everybody,
Absolutely.
appreciate you for the engagement there.
Yes, most indeed. Thank you all for being here early. Much appreciated to all of you guys. Yeah, I mean, we can lighten the mood up with some actual, fights that are supposed to happen in the way that they're supposed to go
We're
down.
not
But
going to be lighting much mood here with these ones, but
well, yeah, I mean, at least the contender series that we'll start off with was pretty
okay,
decent.
yeah, we'll go
Let's
back. There we go. There we go.
we'll
Okay.
save the negativity for the main event of all of this reviewing. But yeah, let's take a look at week 7 of the contender series. This was yeah, in week 7, we saw 5 fights, and we had a couple of decent ones here. Starting it off was Rafael Tobias versus Jair De Oliveira. And this was a pretty quick and easy one. I mean, not super fast. There was actually a little bit of back and forth to this one, but Tobias ended up getting a nice sub out of the deal.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly what this was. I mean, obviously, I think what I thought was impressive was, if you look at the way that De Oliveira was built, I was thinking, right off the bat, no way is he getting subbed. No way. Look at his neck. He doesn't even have one. There's no way you're getting underneath that. I mean, people with these stocky build like this, it's not a joke. I mean, it is, but it's not. They do not get subbed as often as people who have long, lanky necks. And so I was thinking, there's no way you're going to go ahead and get the RNC on this dude. And what happens is Tobias, which is a weird way to say Tobias, but
Yeah, I agree.
especially because it's not an E, it's an O. I don't know. Anyway, shout out Tobias. He got the sub, and I did not think he was going to specifically get that one. So he's kind of proven me wrong, So
Yeah, well, I mean, De Oliveira definitely is like in that Torres Finney kind of camp, where he's a little bit of a shorter, stockier guy for a bigger weight class.
Tobias was like massive though. Like this dude was pretty good size for light heavyweight. Now that I'm thinking about it, he kind of reminds me of, if you think about Julius Walker, about, he's a little goofier and he looked not as great in his last performance, but I think Tobias is a little similar to Julius Walker. I think we could see a little bit of similarities out of him.
Yeah, definitely in build for sure. But I mean, you look at the two of them side by side, and the differences were very glaring. So yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate for De Oliveira, but like it's one of those situations. It reminds me when you were talking about Imanol from Tough, and you were like, a guy that size just is not going to be able to have success, and it's just an unfortunate fact. And like, I want to believe, because we've seen guys like Chris Barnett and obviously Torres Finney, as I mentioned, having varying levels of success, but like, just looking at them side by side, this dude De Oliveira was going to have to pull out some craziness in order to be able to have success against Tobias.
What I think is funny about the Contender Series, because it's week to week, obviously like the UFC, but you get to see varying levels, and I mean varying levels of talent. Because like when this fight starts, I mean, I remember thinking like, here we go again for another week, and we get people signed up for these Contender Series fights, and they ain't look like they've done much fighting outside of what we're, like, and I don't know, like this De Oliveira dude, he has 6 wins before this.
Right.
But when he came in here, I instantly had no faith that he was going to ever win a bout. Like, that's just not what I should be. Like, it should be two people that are like, we don't know who they are, but there's a reason we should. It's like De Oliveira. No reason that I should remember the name. Not going to lie, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I mean, Tobias, I guess, is one that you're going to remember now because he gets his contract. So,
Yeah.
good win. And, for a first rounder, a lot of first rounders on this one, only one real, dog fight on this week. So I guess we can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. Next up was Justice Torres versus Javier Reyes. Reyes is the Colombian, Justice Torres, the American here. And I was rooting for Mr. Justice, but it did not go his way.
Are you kidding me? You rooted for Justice when you saw the Colombian caveman walk out? Did you not think this dude looked like Mictebek? Like this was Colombia's Mictebek. When I saw him, I mean, I instantly knew that he was winning. Like there's no fucking way. And he actually look at his record compared to a lot of people in the Contender Series too. We made a point of that in the Discord. It's like 22-5 going into the Contender Series is like you're super. That's super. Whatever. Green,
Seasons,
not green. Yeah, seasoned.
Yeah. That's wild. I didn't even pick up on that. But yeah, 22-5 is his current record now after the win. And geez, that is a lot of experience.
And it's a lot of losses coming in here. But yeah, look, dude, big boars. I know 22-5 coming into Contender Series is crazy. 5 losses is a lot, but the experience enough should let him beat people that are just coming into the sport kind of deal. And yeah, 12-4 is not necessarily horrible. Like it's not like if they threw him up against somebody who's 4-0, like some of the times we fucking see. But this one was I'm telling you, when he walked out, you see it in the facial structure sometimes. You just know they are going to win fights. And I hate to say it to you, like this dude is going to be a menace. Like, love it.
Picked him right up out of the rainforest, put him right in there. Appreciate it.
They him out probably. I think he was from a long lost time.
So. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. They thought him. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. They had to chip him away from the ice block.
Well, we got heat dryers now these days.
True. Yes, they were out there with the hair blower for sure.
Extension nice cord up.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, good win, good solid win, good solid knockout. So, good deal there.
I wanted to double check before we move on. So he's actually 31 years old. And now when you get to the Contender Series, you do sometimes get a mixed bag of ages and variety of the professional bouts that they've had in their career, like at their age, like Nalo, you've seen him. He's older and he's just now starting his career. Javier, we don't necessarily know. I didn't double check when he started this, but at 31, there's a little more time to have like hope for a bigger ceiling. He obviously went in here and starched his opponent, but if he doesn't look necessarily impressive against his first UFC level opponent, I still think there's room to improve and get better at age 31. It's not like, ooh, write him off. Like if Wellmaker, what was he, like 30? How old was Wellmaker? Did we confirm 30?
I think he's 31 as well.
Okay. Well, people want to joke that he's old. Lerone is maybe a better example, I guess, because he's a little older and he's not a prospect anymore. But once he loses and they figure it out, it's like, eesh, what's you got to actually figure it out kind of deal. It's not like just get better. We've already seen the finished product. I think Javier might have a little more time on his hand, especially coming in with this experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say 22 wins would certainly lend itself to that, and obviously if he's still resilient after the losses, then nothing to say that he shouldn't be able to bounce back. It really, this is all about the matchmaking after the Contender Series, as always. So we'll 100%. See what they want to match him up with, and style wise, we'll see what he can do. So good deal though. All right, this was the one standout fight of the evening here. Jaisla Chavez versus Sofia Montenegro. This was the second women's fight of this season, and this was a banger, and also one of the larger robberies that we have seen this go around of the Contender Series. Very strange that they ended up giving the win to Chavez, but it was a very tough fight in both directions. So I do appreciate that that both women, spoiler alert, both women do end up getting a contract after this.
This is an important season for me, and this is the fight where I realized it, because when I started out my channel watching the Contender Series, there was more women's bouts than we've had now, and I really enjoyed the ones that we had, and we'll talk about why. So coming to this fight, or actually, well, continuing on from the Contender Series before, I would go into the UFC cards, and I feel like it was so forced from me to love all of the women's bouts. And I know that's crazy to say, guys. It's crazy to say that you can't love all of the women's MMA bouts in the UFC. But when you come around to these two fights that have been in the Contender Series season 9, whatever this is,
Mm-hmm.
they have put on two of the biggest bangers of the season as it is. Like, these, genuinely, these four women, I mean, I'm impressed by three of them. I mean, one of them, yes, the last one, yes, but like when it comes to like expecting good things from them, three of them already, like they've put on. I mean, we're four for four basically on good women prospects this season, and like it just makes me realize why I love the Contender Series again so much, is because the female prospects, they understand the assignment. They don't just come out here because they want to fight. No, they want to entertain because they want a contract to fight more. And that's what they do. They come out here and put on fucking bangers, dude. I'm telling you. Thank you, Big Boars. You said it as I was saying it. I didn't want to give you credit just yet because I had to say it. They are fucking bangers, dude. Sofia Montenegro, Jalisi Chavs. Oh my goodness. These girls went at it. And one of them was a ring girl. I think it was Chavs. Is
Yeah,
that correctly?
Chavez. Yeah, yeah.
Sophia was also very attractive herself. She could have been a ring girl in any other promotion that I that I was running. I mean, shit, you don't have to be a fighter, girl. We'll pay you well. Anyway, she went out there with the attitude that I don't want to be a ring girl. I want to fucking put the beating on this girl. She walked her down genuinely, and I know this is gonna sound crazy. I mean, the late great Jose Medina would walk forward with a smile as he got punched in the face. Sofia Montenegro shares a little bit of that. She shares just a little bit of that. When you punch her and she gets wobbled and does the chicken dance, she's smiling when it happens. That's how you know she's so fucking game. And we're going to talk about somebody later in the fucking card that I'm going to start giving a little more respect to as game as fuck. This bit, dude, Sophia, not this bitch, sorry. Respect to Miss Sofia Montenegro. You won this fucking fight, girl. You really whooped her fucking ass too. Like, I'm just I I love it. I love Sofia Montenegro. Chavs is actually pretty good too, but she falls on the side of like she gets a contract because she'll actually put up a fight after getting her ass whooped. Like, it's just a rare breed of woman. I hate to say it, especially at the highest level of the sport, that you just don't give up, especially when there's blood. We've had two pretty good bloody matchups,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they are fucking loving it, dude.
That
They
that was Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. Is that it was the fact that that they were both so game through all of the adversity that both of them was throwing at each other. I mean, this was a really two-way fight at a lot of points. I mean, Sophia did the better work in the end. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's why the given the nod to Chavez was just a strange judge's call, but really they were both putting that work in, and it was a bloody affair, and with both of them just not backing down, both of them continuing to push forward and do their thing. It was like, okay, this is exactly what you want to see out of people coming into the organization, especially women. So yeah, I mean, I wanted to clarify that, going back to one of your earlier points about not there's women's fights that are not that entertaining. That is absolutely the truth. I mean, like, I feel like this is a weird misconception that a lot of people want to have, is that when you say, oh, I don't dislike women's MMA, that it's automatically like you like all women's MMA fights. It's like, no, you judge the women's fights the same as the men's fights. You want to see good fights no matter what the gender is. And these women here are actually putting in good work so it's like when they come into the organization, this is who you want to see fight. So you get good fights out of fighters like this. That's what you want to see rising through the ranks and giving you the entertainment in these women's divisions. So yeah, I mean, this is an exact example of why you should not count out women's MMA.
Listen, and I know I said it before, is like the women just get the assignment. Like they understand what is to be, asked of them. They want to put on a show. And listen, I know you hate my pro wrestling comparisons, but Triple H said it himself. The women, they pick it up quicker. The entertainment aspect of, the squared circle. I don't know. It's the same thing. I think they understand that they're to put on a performance here. Like it's not, I mean, the blood, it is a spectacle and it's cosmetic, and they did their job wearing it well, but they knew that they're here to entertain, and that's what's to get them to the ticket. They both got it because they're entertaining. It's not because they wanted to be, the best fighters on that night. I mean, they did, obviously, but they didn't just go out there and just do what any other great fighter does and beat their opponent. No, they performed. They put on entertainment at its finest, and that's what this sport's all about. This is a fight. These are two women that you could put on the first fight of any pay-per-view or fight night that's out of the country, outside of the Apex. You see it all the time. You got that Pennington and Pinero matchup, anything like that where it's just two women who are just going to go at each other. You got the listen, cat fight is not what you want to say, but genuinely, I mean, I wouldn't mind calling it a little bit. I mean, these women will go and give you a straight up cat fight. If you call it a dog fight for the guys, straight up cat fight. I love it. I love it, guys.
Yeah, same. Yeah, absolutely. And
Marab, take notes, literally, and Ankalaev before this weekend starts.
there you go. Yeah, no, I mean, and so this is now two times in a row that both women in their fights, we've had two fights with women in this season of the Contender Series, and both times of all four women getting contracts.
Dude, it's not even just they're getting contracts. What I think is also cool about this setup, and because we have to see these people eventually, and they're in their sectioned, events. So like you can only judge the Contender Series people that you have right now, against each other in the season. I want to see. We have four women that put on bangers, and they all never quit. I want to see. Just swap the opponents. Oops, sorry. Just swap the opponents. Give us what we want on a fucking. Put it on the same card in 3 months. Match up Sophia with fucking I don't remember her name, but then Chelsea, no, Chanel, and then you match up the other one with the other one. I don't care what the names are. You guys know what I mean, but I need to see this fight. I need to see both of them on the same night because genuinely they understand the assignment.
Yeah, and really, I mean, in a broader sense, women like this coming into the sport is
Or
what's
why I
going.
love it.
Yeah, well, definitely that, and also that it's what's going to stop the negative connotation with women's fights in general. Like all of the, because I see Hydra here, and this was definitely a funny joke, but this is like legitimately what some people think. He says, women's fights are, when am I supposed to get my food and go to the bathroom if if women's fights start getting good or whatever, and it's like that's what a lot of people do say though. They do, and there are legitimately people who think like that, and so it's like these are the type of fighters that are going to change that perception. It's like if you see Jaisla Chavez or Sofia Montenegro on the card, it's like, oh shit, I got to actually sit down and pay attention to this because somebody actually might be going out.
And we didn't actually specifically talk about it yet, and I know we've been talking about them for a little bit, but it's warranted. They need a discussion talked about these women public. And Sophia, coming from Argentina, I was even confident in her before the fight. Sadly, she got robbed, but in my opinion, she won this fight, so it doesn't even matter. Argentina, other than Prato, other than that fucking guy, don't get
Yeah.
me started. Argentina's got it together. They have got some really good people, and it's not just one specific style. It's not like the mountain guys where like, oh, they all just wrestle and they do this and that, whatever. Argentina has varying skill levels that we've seen be successful so far. She's another layer to it. I think she's gonna be good. 6-2 is nuts, but it's not. When you look at somebody like Carly Judice, the one loss isn't warranted, or whatever it is, and her record or two losses, whatever it is. But like something like this is the real ballers are gonna know when she comes up against somebody like fucking when Laura Murphy steps out of retirement. Give me Sophia Montenegro.
I mean, I bring up my girl Sam Hughes all the time as a woman who defies her record, and I mean, 6-2 is not that bad in general. I would say I don't think it's that crazy work, but like still, yeah, I mean, a couple losses coming into the organization, you do notice it, I guess. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like with women like this, it's like you go out there and put on the banger performance, and the record goes out the window. And I couldn't agree more about Argentina as well. They're definitely next up. Continue pumping out Argentinian fighters, and we will continue seeing bangers.
I don't know if you're into a little side conversation here, but I wanted to bring it up because it was something we discussed in the Discord. We were talking about places that the UFC needs to go, and I really said Argentina really needs a UFC card.
I
I
would
genuinely
agree.
believe it.
I mean,
So
I don't know if they have necessarily enough fighters to fully fill out like the way that they did with Australia, where we're going to be talking about tonight. But I would say that it doesn't even necessarily need to be that. Put the fighters that you do have on there. You've got
surrounding countries, just like you do for the UK card, like come
absolutely,
on.
yeah, absolutely. Esteban Ribovics in a main event that's so long overdue anyway. I mean, like you get that guy out there doing
Well, he
his
main
thing.
evented the Apex, I think, but
Did he?
or co-main. It was against Hack Paraz. Maybe I'm wrong.
It might have been co-main, but yeah, I don't think he's been in like a full-on main event. I don't think, but
You
either
might be
way,
right.
I mean, look, and if he has whatever, get it, have him do a main event in his home country. You throw your booty shaking Eileen Perez on there, and this little Montenegro, and that's a pretty good card in and of itself, just by that.
Hell yeah. And then we
So,
do obviously need to see the debut of our Ninja Ferret from Contender Series last season. So whenever
yeah,
she's ready, I'm ready to see it. In Argentina, by the way. So
right on. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it, and I liked this fight. So good deal here for these ladies. Definitely putting on a really nice show and a contender series that otherwise was really just kind of one and done. I mean, we're going to talk about these next two, but they're also pretty quick and not too
yeah.
much to talk about. Especially this one. This next one coming up here is Brian Zersher versus Murtazali Magomedov, and this was just a very quick one and done knockout type dealy.
I think what I just want to talk about, it's quite funny, I think. So when you watch this fight, the commentary will let you know, and we were talking about it before in the Discord because we break down all the information. Everybody, the MMA Hive is the place to be for all the information. Anyway, we break it down, and they were saying that Zurcher trained in Habib's gym
Yes.
way before, and I didn't understand it because I'm like, this dude's Mexican, like that that
The,
doesn't add up.
the first Mexican to train with Habib, apparently.
And I would like to note after this performance, the last Mexican will be in Habib's gym because genuinely looked like shit. Like, I mean, I know you can't judge it too much. I mean, but like Habib put his boy up against a Magomedov. Like that was the true test. He's like, I'm giving it to you. This is your way to prove it. And he genuinely just couldn't get dude knocked out by a Magomedov. It's like, hey, could it be any worse on the visual? Like when you see Magomedov, it's like, oh, he's gonna choke him out. But then you get starched by him on the feet. It's like you had one job. Like
And I said, I mean, knocked out by a Magomedov as a Mexican. I mean, that's what I was saying on the watch along. I'm like, oh, even going into the fight, I'm like, oh, Mexican chin. We're gonna see the test of the
Latino
Mexican.
chin.
Yeah, bro. Not here, not for Zersher. Good lord. He and this was bad too because like he really did like crumble to it. You know what I mean? This wasn't like he was getting pummeled, and it was just like his body couldn't handle anymore. It was like he got stuck and he was kind of on skates and then just down and it was done. So it was like it was pretty bad visually as well as being an early knockout.
Yeah, and yeah, that's dude. You're talking about visually, and yeah, the Contender Series is for this the spotlight highlight kind of shit. But like Habib's boy getting made look like this, I mean, I genuinely do believe like he will not be training there again. Like, I mean, you got to go find another place now. I mean, you made Habib look bad, and like in this game, I mean, Habib means something. Like at the top of the game in the UFC is like being trained by Habib. In a way, people do take account to that. Whether they joke about it or say it ironically, like he's Habib's buddy. Like of course he's going to be good. Like they do bring it up. Like it is something that in the back of your mind you do take into account. You would think a dude training with Habib that has Latino chin, Mexican boxing, in Habib's wrestling. Oh my goodness, this dude's got to be a menace, but no, wasn't at all. Nope.
No, no, not him, unfortunately. So yeah, one quick and easy one for Magomedov over here, and yeah, another fighter from Kyrgyzstan, which is somewhat underrepresented, even though obviously Valentina is the big name from Kyrgyzstan, but not a ton of Kyrgyzstani fighters if you really think about it. I mean, maybe I'd say less than five, I would think. She's the big name that comes to mind, but as far as men go, I think maybe one other. I'm trying to even think. So, I mean, either way, the point is that
Him.
yeah, ever say now him, so yeah, so good for representation. Always nice to see other countries getting their shine. And he got it in emphatic fashion here. So, good job and welcome to the UFC from Murtaz Ali.
Hell yeah.
All right, and last up, another country that excuse me, another country that is has good representation from times past, but is somewhat kind of floundering at the moment is Croatia. Of course, Mirko Krokop is the big Croatian fighter that you would think of automatically, and this Johnny Barbier, who I was like, that is a hard name. This dude sounds like he could be a pirate of the Caribbean. But came in and he was talking a big game himself, but this Mantis Kondratavicius from Lithuania put a hurting on this dude also very early.
It's been a common joke that I make these days because of our residential tough opponent contestant Zigomantis. Um,
Gigamantis, yes.
Mantis, very common name in Lithuania. But guys, I don't know why they must love that thing. Like the little mantis, they love it. I don't know. Anyway, so when I think of him and I think of Nathan Fletcher finishing him with a submission, I'm like, yeah, be happy that you finished a guy who never fought an opponent outside of Lithuania. That's like a common joke I make now. So when I looked at this guy, I'm like, okay, Mantis, if you've never fought anybody outside of Lithuania, it's gonna show now probably, and it didn't because this Barbier guy is terrible. Like I don't know. Sometimes you get a matchup, and it's like how because the UFC genuinely does a pretty good job when it comes to matchmaking. Like you get a good stylistic matchup, but then sometimes on here you just don't. You just get the one guy who just because he's gonna dominate. Like he's gonna go in there and just drop a nuke, and the other guy's just gonna die to it. So, whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that is if I did have a criticism, which I guess it's not really like a full on criticism because I do enjoy watching these guys come in here and just annihilate their opponents and stuff. It is fun, but like I will say that like this season of the Contender Series does seem to be that we've had a couple of skill gaps in some of these fights because that's I mean like really we just talked this week through here and 4 out of 5 fights were first round finishes. So I mean, like I don't know if it's just that the type of people that they're finding, or if it's the region of the world, or how they're doing the matchmaking, or whatever. But like, it would seem to me that like, let's just say that you had this Contra Tavicius go against one of the dudes that was an annihilator from a previous week. Like maybe the fight would have been a little bit more entertaining and exciting. But then I guess the other side of that coin is that it's like, okay, well, you want both of those guys who are potential killers to both get into the organization. So if they did fight each other on the Contender Series, one is probably not going to get a contract. So it makes more sense.
Yeah, I definitely hear that. Yeah,
So
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, it's really just you kind of feel however you want to feel about it. Like I don't mind because it's like we come in, we have a nice quick week of chatting and enjoying the fights when we're doing the watch along, and they go quick, and then we just kind of go about our business. But as far as like keeping the Contender Series fresh, I guess maybe there might be something to think about there. But also the other thing too is it's just that at any given time, the best fighters might already be in the organization, and other guys who are becoming UFC caliber might not be there yet. So it's still always an evolution in this sport.
I think we're maybe close, and I know we're talking about the skill gap that we see in some of these matchups, most majority of these matchups actually this season, but I think we're actually close to more Contender Series. I think we are on the verge of getting a second season of Contender Series throughout the year. We get a summer I think we're due for a winter version of the Contender Series. And if that's not true, then maybe I think it's possibly going to be like a new version of Road to the UFC. It's going to be like Road to the UFC South America kind of deal. So
Could be. I mean, we've talked about it a couple of times, but the organization is scaling back the number of events that we're going to be getting next year with the Paramount Plus deal. So it'll be interesting to see what the other offerings are, because what we have seen as far as MMA goes is not all that much. We've seen that we're going to get 44 events for mixed martial arts. We're going to be getting a bunch of TKO boxing and power slap, neither of which I care personally about. So as far as mixed martial arts specifically goes, it would be nice for them to kind of make it a little bit more robust of an offering. And we still don't have confirmation that the Contender Series and Tough are even going to be on Paramount Plus. That's kind of a little up in the air still, and I'm really, really hoping that they don't pull a fast one on us and put it on another service. But
I I think you're too worried. I think the thing that I was actually going to make a point, and I think it's just going to be to even confirm that it's all going to be on Paramount Plus. Because if you look back earlier, I think it was last summer ish is when it dropped. There was a Dana White docu series type of thing. It was released on Roku TV, and it was like a 5-part mini series that had a lot of backstage access of a lot of things going on, and it was only one season and there was nothing else, and they said they're not doing any more after everybody loved it. Well, here we are with a new deal on Paramount. We're going to have probably have Contender Series on the Road to the UFC, the BJJ stuff, everything related to the UFC that Fight Pass would most likely would have. And then I think we're going to get more opportunities for more Dana White exclusive TV shows, and all these other things in the mixed bag of the UFC. I mean, there's too many things to profit on, and they see from their partner brand in the WWE just how much money can be made off of so many different things. And I think they're only going to streamline more and more content
well,
with the UFC,
yeah, no, see that part doesn't.
embedded and stuff on.
Though, yeah, I mean, it's really where it's going to live is well. I'm curious. What
I
I'm
think it's
concerned
all going to
about.
be on Paramount. That's
I
what I'm
hope so. I
saying.
mean, I would think so. $7.7 billion. You'd think that they'd want to be getting their money's worth out of that contract that they signed. I mean, granted, that's over many years, but still, that's a lot of money to be spending on 44 events per year. So I would think that they're going to be filling it out with some more stuff in boxing, and they're going to find very quickly, I believe, that the TKO boxing is not going to draw the eyes. I
Well,
don't think people are going to watch it.
what I think it was is I think ESPN was like, we're not going to do your shitty show. If you find somebody that'll do it for you, you can do whatever you want. And they were like, okay, fine, we'll go find somebody. Because Roku TV, I even at the time was like, why the fuck would you put it here? Who is going on Roku TV to watch the UFC show? And apparently everybody did. And it showed like, okay, we have an idea and it's going to work. They're going to eat up whatever we fucking put out there. Roku TV, thank you, goodbye. Now, when we get our new deal, we are going to set everything up because we know that this is a proven system to streamline the backstage access. They're going to do it. Dana White, the deal that he signed with Paramount is obviously going to be the most creative control that he's going to continue to have with the UFC and what they put on this streaming service. And why would he only stop after one season? He just had an idea to make a TV show one time, and he was like, I didn't fucking
Why?
care about it.
Because there's more power to be slapped, Chase. That's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get 700 power slap events instead
True.
of any new UFC. You're gonna end up getting power slap 780.
Yeah, I agree, but I genuinely think we're gonna get a lot more content streamlined to us. That's gonna be backstage access and embedded vlog type deals. And the UFC is just gonna rake in dough because this deal with Paramount's gonna take over. I think.
All right. Well, from your mouth to God and Dana White's ears, I suppose we will find out.
You
You
mean
know,
just Dana White's ears
Yeah,
then?
exactly. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, you know what? We will find out come January. So only a couple months away. But that all being said, aside, we went through all of season 9, week 7. So, another good week of fights, and we've got more tomorrow night. So,
I'm excited for him.
yeah, same here. Let's move on over to the fight night. This was UFC Fight Night. Ulberg versus Reyes. This took place at the RAC Arena in Perth, Australia. And Chase, before we go into it, what did you think of this event?
Going into the event, I thought, these are a lot of fights and a lot of people I don't know. And we even had more fights if you want to talk about the ones that were canceled, both of the Taffa brothers and then some other randoms. But either way,
Yeah.
going into the fights,
Mhm.
didn't think this was going to be the greatest. So we'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week when we did our predictions and stuff, and we had said that on paper this was not the greatest. And yeah, I guess we can just leave it there because I'm sure that our reviews will be giving away the rest of our feelings about it. But as you did mention, a couple of fights dropped off, including both of the Taffa brothers. It started off, I think, as 16 fights. It was going to be one of the larger fight cards in UFC history. Actually, I think it was tied for the largest, and went down to 12. So 4 fights did end up dropping off. And after watching through all of these, I think that was more than okay.
Two noticeable things. We had, what did you say, 3 fights drop off, 4 fights?
4 fights, yeah.
The time did not change. We still started at 7 and ended at around midnight, which is weird because normally when we lose fights, you would think that they would adjust for the time slots, but
Mhm.
no adjustments needed for this one.
Yeah, it's almost like they pad it out because of advertising.
It's almost like they just fucking knew it.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway, to note, this arena had nobody in it apparently. The crowd was, and you know what's crazy is because that Shaw dude, right? Is that his David Shaw or something like that? The
Oh,
TKO.
yeah, the rules and regulations guy.
So I don't think that's what. Maybe we're not
Is
talking
it?
about the right guy then. He's like the TKO ambassador. He's talking now instead of Dana because Dana's not traveling. He
Uh,
always talks after. But
yeah, I
anyway,
think I think that's like he's the regulatory guy at there. That's what I thought he was anyway.
Anyway, so he goes on there and he's talking about, yeah, we're definitely planning more Australia cards because this is the market. Like this was after the card, and I'm like thinking like, yo, I just watched the whole UFC card and I didn't have one shot where I saw thousands of people like in the stands. So
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up though, because that was a meme that was going around for a while. Not a meme, but just a graphic that was going around that apparently ticket sales were not great to this. They dropped prices dramatically. I think that you could get tickets, to pretty decent ones for like $100 Australian. So that's yeah. I mean, I don't know what the final gate was, but I mean, you can say it's Perth, Western Australia. It's not exactly like a booming population to begin with. But I do have our buddy Didgery Dave. I think he was in the chat just a little bit earlier, who was saying that Perth, Australia, is not exactly like the most poppin' place in the world. Like that, there are a lot of people. I guess there's a lot of industry there, so there are a good amount of people, but there's not a lot to do there. I guess is what he was saying. So it's like his thought was that it was going to sell out like crazy because they're just people are going to go just to do something. I don't know if that was necessarily the case, and the crowd shots did not lend themselves to that, which we did not get a lot of crowd shots for that exact reason. I think.
yeah, I think and I thought this was gonna be on the same ish kind of weekend because I thought it was gonna be TKO, doing their little partnership with WWE. But WWE is going to Perth and having a 4-day weekend, and I'm gonna gauge the audience. If they are out there turned up for WWE, fair plays. We got to go out there and have fights there too. If they love WWE, we got to get them the real stuff too. Fair. That's why we had it. But if the crowd there for WWE is also lackluster, I'm questioning who's in attendance here. Where are they at? Are they just watching from their home while it's in, like, I don't know. So
I mean, it could also be the fact that they have a deal with Australia in general, the Australian Combat Sports Commission or the Gaming Board or whatever, like to bring X amount of events to the country. So they have the major cities that they're going to hit. That's why I forget which fighter said it, but one of the fighters was saying that they need to go back to Melbourne, and because I guess they haven't done an event in Melbourne for a while. It's like, yeah, I mean, that would make sense because if you're going to do Sydney and you're going to do Perth and you're going to do Adelaide, then Melbourne would make sense as well. So perhaps that'll end up happening. But I do think that you get like X amount of events in the country and you just pick where you put them, and that might have been part of the reason as well.
what I think is also key to note, and this is probably to do with attendance, I definitely credit a lot of the decisions that we had on this card to this fact that this card was on the U.S. time. So this was in the morning for the native fans of this sport, which was unfortunate for them, I
I
think.
think that they normally get that though. I think we
But why is
generally
that
have that.
normally the thing? Like,
You get up early, you go, and then you can have the rest of the day to hang out afterwards. They get off at 5 o'clock or whatever, and have the whole evening to party.
I guess it's a different vibe. I mean, you're right, but I just, I've heard it. I would think it would be a little unfair for it never to be at the nighttime, because everybody else gets to party at the nighttime and watch UFC. Like, Why can't they?
Hey, this is coming from the guy that gets up early to watch one on Fridays.
Yeah, true, but I would like to drink and have fun, and I don't want to do it in the morning because that seems like I have a problem.
I was, bro, it's Australia. That's not a problem there.
Okay, fairs,
I don't
fairs.
know. I'm kidding. Whatever. But yeah, no. I mean, you do make a point. I mean, yeah, every once in a while it would make sense for the Americans to have to deal with that, and they do it for China. I
Yeah.
mean, and we're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning from Macau. So,
And that's a fun thing to do.
oh,
So
I
I
love it
mean,
personally. Yeah.
maybe I'm just I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's something that the Australians need to rally behind, and also maybe if they had fighters that were warranting of that, then that might be part of the case too. But we'll
Yeah.
talk it through, and you can draw your own conclusions thereafter. Let's start this thing off with the first fight of the evening. It was Aluma Lukbunmi versus Alexa Thayanara. I guess she's got an I in her last name there. It would be Alexia, but I guess it's
Mhm.
pronounced Alexa. So Alexa Thayanara versus Aluma Lukbunmi. What'd you think of this one?
This one was really good to start off the card, and I knew it was gonna be. And it actually went just about how we thought. To be fair, Loma might be listed wrong. I mean, 5'1". I mean, Thayanara was the same height as her. Is she also 5'1"? Like, I mean, they were the same size, and I was expecting a big size difference from Thayanara, and I thought she was going to have an easier time throwing her around in the grappling. Now, she did have an easy time, but Loma was actually doing a pretty decent job of defending it. She just didn't have when it comes to defending takedowns and grappling against the cage, there's two steps to it. Yes, you have to defend the getting dropped on your butt, but you also have to establish that you're doing something or you're just doing nothing while they work and then they scoop you to your butt. Yeah, you get back to your feet, but then you lost a position there. They get a point to the judge and they're also peppering in shots and she's only defending. She's like I said, she's evolving well for what she started as and Loma's got a really I still think there's a lot of potential there because this is a hard matchup for her. And a lot of people, when I think Loma was the favorite in this one. If I was, yeah, oh no, she was a dog. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But people were saying Loma beat Bruno Brazil. Bruno Brazil beat Thayanaro. So that was the MMA math that was coming across that Loma was going to beat Thayanaro. But if you watch this podcast, you would know I was 100% confident for Thayanaro to get this one done. She didn't get the finish but Loma looked just as impressive as I figured she would, So I'm actually pretty proud of her. So
I had the same feelings as you about Loma coming into this fight. I think that my issue was that she didn't capitalize on the stand up enough when she wasn't being clinched up. I mean, she in a fight like this. And I'm constantly saying, oh, come out the gate hard, like you gotta be from the beginning of the fight, in deadly intent, and especially in a fight like this, because for 3 rounds she's getting tied up consistently, and then anytime that they would break, she's just not quick enough to capitalize on the distance. That's all she had, was to be able to put distance between her and Thayanara. And when she did that, yeah, she kicked a couple of times, and her kicks are pretty decent, but it's just not enough, especially when Thayanara is so slick with her takedowns. I mean, her trips are so nice, and she stays with it. Like she really is very dogged in the way that she will get her hands on you and not let go. I mean, like she keeps her hands on you until she gets you to the ground. I said in my, like, I think I said it last week, and like, in my mind at least, saying that, like, I think that Dayanara's style might be somewhat problematic when she gets a little bit higher up, because there are going to be people who are going to be able to navigate what she's bringing to the table a little bit better than someone than Loma. And I think that she needs to tighten up her striking a little bit, because she does get a little bit reckless with her striking. She throws some really crazy haymakers in this fight, like when they were at distance, which I guess she was trying to show off a little bit of that too. So it's like, you showed us what you can do there. Now maybe reel it back just a little bit, tighten it up, get a little bit more technical with the striking. So I do see a couple of exploitable holes in Thayanara's game, but what she does well, she does very, very well. And I think that that is exactly why she was able to have her way in this fight. It was just so much pressure, so much control, and so many times that Loma just could not have an answer for being on the ground, being up against the cage, et cetera, et cetera.
what's unfortunate for Loma, and I think it's just the final thing that I'll have to say is that her Muay Thai, where she comes from, doesn't translate to MMA. her stand up is not as lethal as some of these other Muay Thai people that we've seen. Like, she just doesn't have the mixed bag of Muay Thai and grappling. She's focusing on grappling, which was good if that was going to be your training and you're getting better. But then when we're in the stand up, it's going to be dice game. She's just a little less striking than you would really expect a Muay Thai person from Thailand. Like, you're like, when you go into this fight, you're looking at it, you're like, okay, Loma from Thailand, okay, Muay Thai, awesome on the feet, but don't let her get down because she ain't getting up, type of deal. She didn't have it in the striking, not one bit, but she also was getting up from the wrestling. She was just on the opposite spectrum of what you expect her to be and what she needs to be. I mean, like, where the striking needs to be. Thayanara was looking gassed after the first round. Like, she was looking a little weathered. Like, the striking was getting sloppy. The takedowns were getting larger distances. Were getting advances from Tainara in the takedowns. I think Loma, I don't know. Like I said, I think the ceiling and the potential is still there, but like, she's just got to put it together better because the striking needs to be there, and then you also need to be able to get her from the takedowns. Don't flip flop on the skill set that you have. Rely on the Muay Thai, and then continue to work on the wrestling, but only use that when you got to. The slickness of the Muay Thai has to come back. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and for a Muay Thai fighter, she needs to teep, for
Mm,
fuck's sake. I mean, that was like one of the things that I was seeing early was I'm like, you are not creating any distance for yourself. That was a big problem. It's not always about having to get away and then break for distance. It's about keeping distance to start. And that was what I thought was severely lacking, because if she had been teeping, at least just to put him out there, just to push kick her a little bit away, just to give her a little bit of space to work with, a little bit of space to think, then there might have been some differences here. But it's just, like you're saying, I think that the Muay Thai is like, it's effective if it's mixed in with a better bag of tricks that she just does not currently possess. And the inherent base of the Muay Thai wasn't as effective, like, in and of itself. So, like, there's just a couple of things that she could do that might give her a little bit of an edge. But I think that it's a bigger evolution that needs to happen, especially when there are so many fighters. I mean, Alexia is a better version of it, but I mean, you see the female Brazilian grappler. Like, that's an archetype of this sport.
mhm.
So it's like, you don't think that Loma's going to run into 7 more of those before the end of her career. It's like, she's got to be prepared for this.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I did want to just real quickly mention one thing from Thayanara that I thought was very impressive, and then we can move on. It was the takedown in the 3rd round. She had Loma clinched on the cage and was grabbing Loma on her side with like one leg between Loma's 2 legs. And then she jumps off of her free leg, puts that onto the cage, pushes off of the cage, and uses her body weight to take Loma down and turn her to the side in order to get control on top. And I was like, that is an extremely creative move. I'm very impressive to be able to pull off, but that's a good example of what I was talking about things that like might be a little bit dangerous as she works her way up the ladder. So I said that Thayanara is strong. She definitely is definitely strong base, strong legs. She's strong. She's creative. She's slightly reckless. And so I think that a little bit of tightening up would help her in the big picture. But as of right now, I'm like, what's not to like? Maybe aside from the dancing to the cage. I think a lot of people don't like that.
No, I love that. What I love most is that she's on an 11 fight win streak. So,
I can't not like that, I suppose. So
hell
yeah,
yeah.
good deal. All right, let's move on here. The newcomers, Brando Perisic versus Alicia. I think it was or
It's
Elisha.
Elijah.
Elisha
No,
Ellison.
it's Elijah. It's just,
Elijah.
yeah,
Is
it's
it
just
spelled
Elijah.
Alicia? All
Yes,
right,
I know.
Brando Perisic versus Elisha Ellison. Quite a promo package for these two leading into this fight. I don't know if you caught any of that, but
It was
Perisic.
just Contender Series. It was
Yeah, really, yeah,
literally
very much like that. It's true, because I think that they were supposed to fight on the Contender Series, so I think that they just literally poured it over their promo packages.
nice.
But yeah, so Perisic, has a somewhat normal tale. He was talking about how he was living in his car for a while. He's sacrificing a lot to be in the sport, and then Ellison comes out with, "I was born before." When I was born, my dad was already serving a life sentence for murder, and I also got kicked off of the police force.
Nice. I
Don't know if
didn't
you
catch
noticed
any
any of
of
these
that.
things, but yes, it was like I was sitting there listening, and I'm like, what? Wait a second. Oh, and
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, okay. So yeah. So Ellison with an interesting backstory. Unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be seeing much more of him, considering that Perisic went out there and did the damn thing.
Dude, he's actually pretty solid. And I'm gonna make a comparison, and it's not in a bad way. And I want you guys to go back to a time where we had a heavyweight prospect who was 6'7", and we thought he was gonna be the man, and he had a fight against, the guy who gets the most knockouts in UFC history. I think this guy is very similar to our boy Taliesin Teixeira. He is a 6 foot something beast who throws kicks. I mean, you can't ask for much more. He doesn't just throw 1-2 bombs. He actually has good combinations. He mixes in kicks and does look like he has power to knock you out. So love to see it.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I guess the logical next step would be to ask, I mean, we saw Teixeira have some problems. I mean, again, he definitely got bombed by Lewis, so I guess it's not
That was an
exactly
early stoppage, dude.
and a cage climb as well as we talked about on the bruised review. But I mean, I guess my question at least would be that it's like, yeah, he's a heavyweight who can bomb, he throws some kicks. What's the ground game going to be like? But I will say that when Ellison tried to level change, because I gave Ellison a little bit of credit here. He got hurt early and had the wherewithal to know that it was time to, to level change. He had good instincts, I would say, realizing that he was in danger and getting towards an evasion. But to Perisic's credit, he stayed with it. I mean, he stayed composed. He was super composed in this fight. I thought Ellison looked a little bit jittery coming out, newcomer jitters perhaps, especially on a big stage, not in the apex. But yeah, Perisic just really composed, stayed aggressive, driving towards the finish, and found it on the ground. I was like, I thought that this was a very nice performance overall.
No, I did too. I actually think, for as much shit as I was talking about these two, decent prospect in Brando, I think.
Yeah, and I mean the other, I guess, thing that you could say is that Ellison is definitely an undersized heavyweight. He's a much shorter guy, but I mean Brando, like you said, is very huge. So it's like even if he was a little, the height difference is always going to be there, even if he was a bigger guy. But regardless of that, Ellison's still a smaller guy. So we're gonna have to see what Brando can do against somebody who's a little bit more built and a little bit taller. But overall, I mean, I think that there's probably some good things to come for him based on what I saw. It's just going to be a matter of the physicality and the gas tank. See if he can last past the first round, but he didn't have to here, so we'll find out later on down the road.
100%.
Yeah, good deal, good deal. Also, he looks a little bit like my boy Gustavo, so shout out to Gustavo.
Okay, Gustavo. Nice.
Yeah, supporter of the Gamma channel. Always appreciate you,
I
homie.
agree with Hydra as well. If your name is Alicia and you get knocked out, I mean, you should not be surprised. But anyway, continue on.
Fair assessment as well. Well, speaking of ladies' names, I suppose, this is Michelle Montague versus Luana Carolina. This is Montague, who is the first female New Zealander in the UFC. So a little history in that. Also, Montague's nickname is the Wild One, and she walks out to The Wild One by Susie Quattro, which is a great song, and Susie Quattro rules. So I already liked her from the second that I saw her in this event.
You know what's funny is that yes, she is the first female from New Zealand. You would think that by now we would have someone representative from most of the known countries. Obviously, there's a lot of smaller nations and things out there, but this fight for Michelle, being someone who was 6-0 with 6 submission victories, what to expect when you see a jiu-jitsu nerd step into the cage. Genuinely, this is not somebody who has 15 subs out of their 18 wins. No, this is somebody who only gets submissions, like Jacqueline Amarine type shit, like only gets submissions. And she was able to show that she's kind of a fucking dog. If she gets a little bloody, she don't care. She's gonna grapple the fuck out of her. And, I thought it was a decent performance. I mean, normal woman kind of boring stuff going on in the striking, but like other than that, like Montague definitely looks like a pretty decent prospect as well.
No, I agree. I mean, I thought that she looked really good. I thought that her forward pressure early was really good. She parlayed it into a nice crossbody takedown early in the fight as well. I mean, obviously those are the things that you should see out of a fighter as you described her. And then, as you said, Carolina had some decent elbows in this fight. So, I mean, she ended up with a gash that I didn't realize was as bad as it was to start off. I thought it was a tinier one that was just, gushing because that's, anytime you get cut in and
Mhm.
around the forehead, it's going to do that. But it actually turned out to be a pretty decent one, right up, closer to the hairline, and it was bleeding pretty decently. But she fought right through that. And then throughout the rest of this, I think she just stayed with it as she should. Now, granted, the second round was an absolute mess for Luana Carolina, considering that she staggers Michelle early in the second round, caught her with a nice shot, and then Michelle just dives in for a double leg and gets the takedown with zero effort. I was like, how do
Nice.
you let that happen? I mean, like, you literally just had her, on a knee almost. She's on skates, wobbling all over the place, and then she just instinct dives, and you let that be the takedown. I mean, there's gotta be a better takedown awareness and defense than that. But in the same sequence, that's just part one. Part two of the sequence was Luana landing a blatantly illegal up kick to a downed opponent. I mean, it was like, a forward kick or whatever, but you know what I'm
Did forget
saying.
about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so I mean, she ends up getting a point taken away for that infraction. I was like, okay. I mean, referee being a little bit stern there, but I think it was warranted considering it was completely intentional. Um, but then also the ref didn't give back the position to Michelle afterwards, which was a little strange.
She was
What
standing up, mate. She was getting up. I think he maybe had a point there, kind of deal. I don't know.
if she was on a knee, she had to have been on. She could have
But like
stunned.
she was like momentum, she was backing up, like she was getting off her. She was like on her knees at that
But
point. She was like
but
extending to stand up. Like
but
in my
Carolina was on the ground though. She was
yeah,
on her back.
but Montague was getting up, is what I'm saying. Like
Yeah, well, I
she
mean,
just kind of pushed her more out the way that she was going. I think as
perhaps
if I
I
was
don't
the ref looking at it, I'm like, okay, Montague's trying to get up, and she just kicks her on the way up. It's like, okay, she's disengaging with the ground, so we'll have you guys stand up. You wanted to stand up, I don't know.
Man, I don't know. He still could have put Carolina back on her
I
back, but
agree.
whatever. Either way,
Devil's advocate.
yeah, fair. And also like the least of there's we'll talk about some refereeing decisions later on, but yeah. So anyway, I mean, I thought that Montague just she kept on with some nice heavy top strikes in the third. She kept her control. She made it a really grindy dog fight, like you said. I thought she looked really good.
Yeah, good performance in front of the hometown.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, I thought that she looked great, and Carolina is teetering at this point, 11-5.
Hydra makes a really good point. If only we had rules that didn't make us have these discussions constantly.
Wow. Hydra, I have often said, my boy Hydra here, he comes into the watch alongs a good amount as well. And he's a young man, but for a young man, he somehow knows how to cut to the core of things very succinctly, and yet again, hitting the nail directly on the flat surface. So congratulations for that, Hydra.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, Carolina, I'm thinking that maybe she might be on the chopping block at some point soon. I would think. I mean, Montague coming in as a newcomer, getting pretty much 3-0'd. I mean, and a point deduction on top of that. Like, this is not a good look for Luana Carolina.
I know I got on you. It may have been last week or the week before. Cool the Jets. Not everybody needs to get cut after a loss. This could have been her first or fifth. But to be fair, I do not want to see Carolina again.
Yeah, and
So
well, and also too, I will admit that during this card, I was, I'm a human being. I was slightly in a grumpy mood when I was watching this card. So there were a couple of fights that maybe I went a little bit harder, but after doing my rewatch, still had most of the same opinions. So
yeah, I was about to say, please don't tell me you thought anything different. Like
no,
anyway,
yeah, no. But so I mean, Carolina. This is a consistent thing for Carolina, though, and we'll talk about the guy that you were talking about when he's coming up a little bit later with the his performance. But yeah, I mean, Carolina has been consistently mid. That's why I was saying, if this Montague is a newcomer and they're giving her Carolina, then this is the fight that you should be able to win in order to prove that you belong in the UFC coming in from PFL. So she did that. Carolina might, and especially now, I mean, they're fighting bantamweight. I think that one of the women's fights on the Contender Series was bantamweight. Am I wrong? Maybe.
hmm
I think that one of them was. So either way, I mean,
no, definitely not.
neither of them
Strawweight and
were?
flyweight.
Oh,
Strawweight and
okay. All right. Fair enough then. Fair enough. But I guess my point is that, like they're going to be new fighters to backfill the slots in the bantamweight division, and you got to fight better. I don't know. I hate to say it. You know what I mean?
True. This is and we'll specifically talk about it later. This is one of the two fights so far where UFC experience meant nothing.
Right.
Just Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's and to the exact same point, it's like you got a newcomer coming in, you're supposed to be the one to show them what this game is really about, and you get schooled. Kind of speaks for itself.
yeah, I actually Didgeridoo Dave brought up a really good point just now because I'm actually just curious. Does the Yama Cat watch fights? Like he just don't care. He just does his
Yeah,
own
McCat,
thing.
he actively tries to pull my attention away from fights,
Hmm.
and this is why Didgeridoo Dave is blatantly exaggerating the what happened with Yamakat, but I do have to have the disciplinary spray
Nice.
bottle now, unfortunately. But he's being a good boy right now, so we'll keep it that way.
Hell yeah.
In the post fight of this fight, Michelle Montague had a funny line where she said, "When life hands you lemons, with Jesus, you make lemonade." So just wanted to keep that in perspective. It's like, you could just make lemonade when life hands you lemons, but you also add the Jesus in there and maybe it becomes something even better.
True. Yeah, no, that's a really good line. I'm trying to think. She said a couple different things that were funny. We had a lot of different cringe people on these post fights.
Oh
We'll
yeah.
talk about another one later. And this one, I can't remember too much about her post fight, but that is a very funny line. With Jesus, you can make lemonade.
Yeah,
So
yeah. She's got a little bit of an attitude to her. I guess she really is the wild one. She almost had that like kind of like, yeah, like, of course I won kind of attitude. And I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that out of a mild mannered New Zealander, but perhaps she's a little bit more edgy than most.
Hydro, great point. He normally does make wine, but lemonade can be made if you have the lemons. That's what she's telling you. If you didn't understand, tell it again. With Jesus, you can make the lemonade. There you go.
Indeed, take it to the bank.
Yeah.
Take it to the mixing bowl. All right. Anyway, let's move on here. Next up was Colby Thickness versus Josias Musasa. I came into this fight being a little bit of a skeptic of Musasa. I will admit I thought his striking was pretty decent when he was able to get it off, but this fight, I believe, reinforced a lot of what I was thinking about the guy.
That he's bad.
No, I never said he was bad. I just said that him having a long knockout streak does not equate in the big picture. And what we had seen from him already was a split decision loss or a split decision win, excuse me, a split decision win and a loss. So I was like, I don't understand why people were glazing the hell out of him, making him out to be the next big thing. Aside maybe from physique, I think they were just going off the eye test, perhaps. But he's not well rounded enough, and there were glaring errors in here that I think made that very illustrated.
I'm looking at the numbers here, and maybe I just don't remember as well as I think. But like I kind of thought this was a Musasa win. I may be wrong. He was definitely on the bottom position for a lot of this, and he couldn't get up by using his athleticism, which was definitely fucking crazy to me. Um, but I mean, every time he was fucking thickness up. Thickness, sorry. I don't know why it's said. I don't know why it's actually spelled and said that way. Anyway, um, I thought he was actually doing really good chopping the low kicks. Anytime he punched him in the face, this dude Thickness was just like flopping all over like a fish. He had him hurt a couple different times too. I mean, yeah, Thickness was doing really good with the grappling, but I think when you look at it that way, in the lens that I was seeing it, it's like, okay, he was getting dogged out on the feet. Well, you better go grapple him. But I don't necessarily think like, oh, his grappling was doing more than what Musasa's striking was doing. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does. It definitely does because I also was in a kind of a half and half on this one going into the decision because I had it 1-1 going into the third, and I thought that the third was pretty even in that regard. Musasa got some good strikes off early. Thickness gets him to the ground and was able to keep him on the ground, but no real submission threat. So judging by that, I think that you make an okay case for it. Chat was pretty well in the camp of that it was a pretty definitive win for Thickness. So I guess pick what you think is the correct one on that. I just think that again for me the like yes, obviously the decision of this fight is what matters in our conversation here. But I was more looking at it from 1,000 yards away, thinking about the things that like I see as glaring errors in Musasa in general. And so from like a more broad perspective, I was like, he's not going to last in the UFC with some of the problems that he had. I mean, there was a time when Musasa was fully mounted and wasn't even trying to buck out of it. You know what I mean? Like things like that I was seeing as problems. So now, granted, I might have been like maybe looking more at that than like point by point to decide a clear victor in this fight. But I don't think that it was so glaring of a poor decision that it was like, a robbery or anything like that.
I feel like even when I watched the like the hand raising when they were doing the score readout, the way Colby reacted was more like a thank God they gave it to me, and then Musasa was more like a are we serious? Like, but I could be wrong, and maybe I was swayed just by the emotion after it. But I was walking away thinking like I just don't think Thickness won that one. But whatever. He trains with Volk, cool. It's a good storyline.
Australia, good. The Australian parlay was intact at least up to this point. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, I mean, I thought that Musasa had some good striking in this. Obviously, it's his most dangerous weapon, and thickness. I did want to at least highlight, aside from the wrestling and the grappling, I thought that his footwork was very good because he was moving a whole lot to get out of the striking range and end up finding the entries for the takedowns, and it was effective. So, I think that for that, he definitely deserves some praise.
I'm gonna sound mean when I say this, but I'm gonna agree with you just because when he was getting wobbled around on the feet, he was able to stay on his feet. So I would classify that as good footwork. I mean, but that's just my opinion. So
Well, I mean, before all of that, perhaps. I mean, he was sticking and moving decently with a little less sticking than maybe you'd want.
yeah, I just don't. I don't have a personal vendetta against Thickness. I just genuinely think that I know what I see sometimes, and if I see like a true killer, I know how to point him out. Thickness is just a guy who gets hit on the feet and then he starts panicking. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like Musalsa is a pretty powerful striker, but even in the last fight that he had, I forget who it was against, but I still see the same things. Like, I don't know.
No, I agree. I was just gonna back you up on that, just to say that I also see the same thing in Colby Thickness. I mean, now granted, we saw him against Alexandre Taporia on short notice, and so I was like, okay, well, short notice, we got to see what he actually brings to the table on a full camp. This was the exact fight to like really style out. You got a guy coming in off of a loss, off of the Contender Series. I mean, this is like prime time for you to be like making a statement here. He certainly did not do that with this fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he had all the opportunities to, especially as a jujitsu guy and a grappler. I mean, you had him mounted up. I'm pretty sure you went triangle and then flopped on that, and then you continue to get the position. But it's like, mounting up and going for the triangle. Okay, it's like one, who do you think you are? Like, you are not Habib or Royce Gracie. Like, don't even attempt it if you are not the fucking man. Like, and this dude, Musasa, is not the grappling guru. Obviously, you were able to hold him down for 7, almost 8 minutes, but not once did you just try to go for a fucking RNC or, trying to pull something simple that works. No, you want to fucking sit on his chest and go for the triangle. In my opinion, I'm being bitter because I do think it was a little closer and I thought he got robbed. But, and there was things that you could have done a little better, in my opinion. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, the mounted triangle aside, that was kind of a funny attempt. But really, like going back to the time when he had Musasa mounted, he was trying for some ground and pound there. But that's really, to me, it cut both ways because on the one hand, I'm seeing Musasa not get out of something that you should blatantly be able to get out of. We were just talking about this on the Bruised review, if you recall, when Halle Berry's getting the tutorial on getting out of mount. And I'm like, getting out of mount is like a very baseline thing that you need to be able to know. That's why no one goes for full mount generally anymore. I mean, like it's rare. We saw Diego try it, and he had some success with that. But that's a rarity. It's you don't see a lot of full mount anymore because it's something that is easily bucked out of and can leave you in a vulnerable position if you get dismounted. So Musasa not doing that, but then thickness not capitalizing with the ground and pound. I was like, that is exactly, if you can mount an opponent and he is not bucking out of it, that is where killer instinct needs to take over. You can be bang, bang, banging. I mean, that's you can get a finish that way really nice and easily. But he did not have the killer instinct, so it did not happen.
I'm not the biggest fan of Colby Thickness, as you guys can obviously assume. I do believe Musasa maybe won this one, but I will go ahead and agree with my boy. Shout out Mank MMA. Musasa is a hashtag Rwand fraud. So
Shout out to Mank and always shout out to Rwand, the fraud check king.
Literally.
But yeah, so I mean that's really about it for this fight. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to end with, but the Colby Thickness gets the win. We'll see if he can maybe gain some deeper deeper fire in his belly going forward.
Hell yeah.
All right, moving on. This fight was real not great. This was Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. And yeah, Bedoya really not great. And Malarkey also really not great.
I hate that you're not giving me props right now. I thought I called this one to a T. I
Did
thought
you?
this would. Oh,
What did
come
you
on.
refresh my memory?
Malarkey was going to come out here and get a boring decision. I actually said split, but who am I to say? Malarkey needed a win. This is a guy who has never even finished his lunch, let alone a fighter in the cage. Malarkey was going to withstand the pressure that Belando was potentially going to throw out there. He was going to get a much needed win in front of his hometown and for his career, because now, because of Jamie Malarkey getting this win right here, we're going to get to see him knocked out against four other prospects. And this is going to be really good news because we love to see Jamie Malarkey get flatlined. He literally loves it himself. That's why he signs up for these fights against the killers. I'm just saying, we get more now. And our Peruvian fella, Bedoya, just leave. Just
Oh
go.
my God. Yes, please do. Yeah, I mean, breaking this thing down just a little bit. This was like a hard spar basically, but Malarkey had a good takedown in the first. I thought his body triangle on the ground was really good. I wanted to give him credit for that. I am an appreciator of a quality body triangle, and he certainly had one of those. He kept good control thereafter. I thought Bedoya showboating in the second, like he didn't just get smothered throughout all of round one, was hilarious. What the fuck are you doing, my guy? Like, how about go out there and punch him in the face as opposed to trying to play the matador? That was really annoying. And then Malarkey lands later in the second round with some decent power. Bedoya tried to start turning up in the third round, but didn't really have enough. I mean, you can give him that third round. I wouldn't be mad at that. But Malarkey kind of equaled the output enough to make that round competitive. So, I think there were a couple of them. Actually, I guess nobody did give him that third round. Okay, so yeah, 2-1 Malarkey is the right call. So judges were fine on this one. I did think Bedoya had that nice tight range spinning elbow in the third is the only thing I really can give him credit for in this fight. Aside from that, please pack your bags and head back to your country of origin.
Don't pack any bags, sir. Put the fries in those motherfucking bags. Like, Jesus Christ, Bedoya. I don't know what they got down in Peru, but you need to be on the corner of whatever fast food station that they got. This guy here, to let Jamie Malarkey not only beat you, but to genuinely, I mean, I was gonna say style, but like honestly, this was a close fight somehow. Like, you must be really bad to make it decisively close. Like, you won, but like you didn't dominate him. Like, you must be impressively bad. But Bedoya, terrible. One thing I will note, Jamie Malarkey just either doesn't have eyebrows and they just put the Vaseline all the way on it to where he looks like he has eyebrows, like Mr. Freeze or something, or he has bleach blonde or gray eyebrows, and that's just how he was born. I don't know.
Yeah, we were talking about this during the watch along. Somebody had mentioned they thought that he might have like ginger genes that might be kind of
That's
throwing
not
things off.
orange, guys. That
But
is
that's
not strawberry either.
so I don't know. I think it might just be some mixture. As I said, I think he has an extra allele in the makeup there. If you remember your science class from back in the day, but yeah, I don't know. I also said that if you put them side by side, and I showed the comparison. I can't do it here, but on your own time, if you were not on the watch along, look up Guy Smiley from Sesame Street, and you will see a 1-to-1 comparison.
I don't know if you're actually familiar. The comparison that I made for him, and this is really harsh if you actually know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to say it on the podcast for anybody that is understanding and what they know about film. There is a movie that was made back in the day that I watched mistakenly thinking it was The Mask with Jim Carrey. This was called Mask, and it
Oh
was
no.
about. So that is what Jamie Malarkey, if you were out there and you know what this movie is like, that's what Jamie Malarkey looks like to me. And I know it's harsh, but like that's exactly what I look like. I see the Elephant Man.
Oh
So
my God. All right. That's maybe one a half step too far, perhaps, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Regardless, but look, Mr. Malarkey ends up getting his win here in front of the home crowd, and like you said, this is really going to be leading up to some more quality highlight reels for other fighters. So I guess that there is a silver lining to this thing. And also, Bedoya getting, taking the next train home is probably not a bad thing either. So this fight is a fight that sorts out a couple of things, perhaps even if it was not great in and of itself.
Yeah, I hear you. This fight hilariously bad, and we knew it too. Like,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, going into it, it was like, you saw it on paper. This was a fight that on paper was exactly what it was in real life as well.
and it's just crazy to me because, like, are you like when you're in the war room with Dana, Shelby, Mick, and whatever? Are they sitting here and they book this one and they're like, "There's potential here. There's potential that this will be something," but like, I genuinely don't see it. Where was
No,
the
no, no,
thought
no.
process?
Definitely not that. They knew that they still had X amount of fights on Malarkey's contract because he's been around forever. He's 18-8. The guy has been. Credit where credit is due. He's been around for a while at least. So it's like we know we've got to give this guy a fight. We're going to do it in his hometown. Like we don't want to export that to some other unsuspecting city. So they had to make it. They wanted to get Bedoya out of there. I think it worked out great in the big picture. Again, seeing it from 1,000 yards away, I think it all shakes out.
Yeah, and I think the last thing that I want to know about this one, man, chat again, I want to give you guys some credit. You guys are engaging as hell tonight. So I want to give you guys a little advice that if you're having this many issues with your eyebrows, it's an unfortunate life for you. I don't do a damn thing, but if you're tweezing and you're over here plucking and you got professor brows, everybody in here who's got all these issues, you're the real MVP because you're going through it.
A little wax goes a long way, from what I understand. I also, thankfully, am not a person who suffers from that issue. But do what you got to do out there. I mean, get a little Metro if you have to. But some ladies like that.
Yeah, one of these days we're gonna get a Manscaped advertisement, and then you guys are gonna be hooked the fuck up.
Bingo. Yes, indeed. Right over to Manscaped and tell them that there's a podcast that is looking for that sponsorship, and we can hook everybody up. And I already actually am a customer of that company, and I can vouch for the quality of their products. So another little reason that Manscaped needs to get with last week's fights.
Hell yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, that is a nice little lengthening of our introduction to this fantastic display here. This was Cam Rouston versus Andre Petroski. We were both very confident in Petroski. I think both of us forgetting about the glass that comprises his chin region. Because Petroski did nothing in this fight and basically ended up getting just annihilated very early. And it was so unfortunate that I was so invested in this. This was the lock of the card for me. So it was on every parlay, and Petroski just torpedoed my entire betting night.
Yeah, I took an L on this one. I was pretty confident that one time Petroski dove in for a shot and just got knocked out by Casper was just a one time thing and a fluke. And I had always assumed that Petroski was just the same as what I've seen before. I've never given him credit to be better, than what I seen before. I never expected growth from his game, and that is truly what he is. Like, he's not somebody that's just gonna get better. He doesn't change the game plan. He doesn't do anything that's different. He's a rangy kickboxer who's got really good grappling that he just never utilizes. So that's all we see from him. And then on top of it, he gets it's so crazy to me how the shot that actually did it was great placement, don't get me wrong, right on the temple. But if you're getting wobbled by that weak of a fucking shot, dude, like, and it's not even just wobbled, it's like, bros, it's as if his eardrums get busted every time he gets punched really hard or something, because he just loses he doesn't even know where he's at. Like, he's just all out of the fucking mix. And then because, like, Ralston, dude, first off, he gives vibes of Mikey Musumeci. I don't know if you get this from him on the mic, but my goodness, you cannot let this guy always win. Like, you can't let him come in here and finish you like this, Petroski. Why are you at range with a striker who's clearly got the range and he's clearly setting you up on traps? Get the fuck on the mat and wrestle. What are you doing? Like,
yeah, dude, he gave this kid so much respect. A guy that all of what we had said coming into this fight is legitimately true about Cam Rouston. Had tons of problems with Torres Finney. So you know that there's an exploitable hole in the game, a hole that you have a strength in. And Petrosky is slow to start. He's never letting his hands go in this fight at all. And then you're exactly right. A check hook that just drops him. And people meme on Johnny Walker like Petrosky isn't in the same exact camp. I mean, this is just one and done. Had him out of there. He's trying to stay alive on the ground. Doesn't have any success there. Rouston doing the right thing and getting the job done early. And then you're exactly right. This was one of the most cringe Octagon interviews that we've seen in quite some time. Like usually I don't have like a visceral, strong reaction to fighters in a negative capacity. I try to, Yama's about the human side of MMA a lot of the time. So like, I try to see them as people, and I don't, I respect them as fighters always, of course. But like, there was just something about this Rouston guy. I was like, man, I do not like this guy. Like the way that he is talking on the microphone right now after that performance with that type of a finish, like there was no humbleness to it at all. And just the thing that he really was thinking that he was like the world ender, and everybody's, I mean, the whole commentary and him all talking about how tough Petrosky is. Like we haven't seen this exact thing out of him before. This is, I mean, really, I feel egg on our faces for having the confidence going into this. But that being said, you kind of could have seen a little bit of this coming, perhaps, if maybe if we dug a layer deeper. But like not in Rouston's estimation and not in Paul Felder's estimation, because Petrosky's he's a G. If you're not a casual, if you really not know this sport, fucking Rouston legitimately said that, by the way. If you're not a casual, then you know that Petrosky is a beast.
I also dislike him on the mic because he's playing the character of the cocky guy, but you cannot buy it from him because he's obviously probably just a little insecure. We all are, but that's just kind of the vibes I get. But when you get on the mic and you have arguably the second worst call out right behind Joaquin Buckley calling out Conor McGregor, like this one was horrible. He got on there and called out Israel Adesanya.
No. He didn't call him out. He was saying that he was saying that he is like the next up from, he trains with him.
It sounded like a call out to me, but if he ended up saying that that's my bro, then his promo skills need fucking work.
Yeah, he was like, saying that his style is often imitated, never duplicated. I at least that's what I read from him. Am I wrong? Am I completely off base here? I thought he was like shouting him out and giving him props. Like I thought that was what he was doing. He was using his time on the mic to give props to his elder statesman kind of thing. But it just was cringe as fuck.
It was also cringe. Like after a post fight speech like that, like you would have expected him to do like a Superman pose or something. Like it's I don't know. This dude's pretty Diary of a Wimpy Kid type thing. Like it's pretty crazy.
He said, "Middleweights, there's a new dog in the yard," and I was just like, "Oh my god, bro!"
He
really?
was saying he's the next Izzy. I'm sorry, Hydra. Well, he's also not that. So,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, right. And so I mean, like it was again coming off of this performance. I mean, like now, granted, he knocked him out. What are you going to say? I mean, like you gotta call it like what it was, and he did get that. So I guess he does deserve, a little bit of cockiness, but at the same time, a one and done off of a fight where Petrosky landed 0 significant strikes. I don't give a fuck what those stats say. He did not land a single strike in this thing. Same with our main event, of course. But I mean, like he maybe like a couple of pitter patter shots, but he was giving so much respect to this dude, so much leeway, so much distance to let him do exactly what he ended up doing. Like, I just don't think that it warranted that level of confidence. Again, having the Torres Finney situation as well. Bring him back in. Let them rematch again if he's that confident.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that one. That's probably what should happen, to be honest with you. But either way, yeah, this one, horrible performance for Petrosky as a -200 favorite. Wow, did we suck on this one.
So. Yeah, and all of my parlays reflected that. So, when you fall hard, and that is exactly what happened. So, as I said, egg on my face, our faces, etc. Did want to bring this up because Hydra is making a good point here. Another guy related to Izzy randomly bringing up dogs. Is this a pattern? Makes one wonder.
I definitely agree.
And
we even said that in the Discord at the time. Like, that's a very common thing that people have been saying. So it needs to be investigated. Seriously, this is fucked up shit going on around here.
I've now done 2 videos on dog-related matters in the UFC, and it needs to stop. So, for fuck's sake, please, let's make that happen.
True.
Good of humanity. Anyway, let's move on to the next fight here. Wash the taste of that last one out of our mouths. This is Navajo Sterling versus Adolfo Bellato. Another smartly navigated, boring Navajo Sterling fight, is what I said.
Um, the only thing that matters in this is that we did actually see moments where Navajo was willing to trade and he trusted his chin and his striking, and I genuinely thought that that was a bad move for him. Like Bellotto does have some power, you know, he might actually chin him, but Navajo's chin actually held up very well in the situations where he did stand his base and start fucking firing. But like you said, danced on the outside, did exactly what we knew he was going to do. They controlled each other against the cage for a little bit, did a bunch of fuck all. And yeah, nobody actually cares about Navajo Sterling anymore in my book because, like, dude, get to the fucking knocking people out again. If you're going to be boring, I don't care. I don't care to see this all the time.
No, I
Seriously.
mean, I think that you make the good point though, is that like if he can trust his chin, if he can trust his hands, like if he has a confidence about himself, he is technically proficient. I mean, he had in this fight, in the last fight as well, but like this one most especially, he had short controlled bursts of striking that looked really nice in the moment. Like he got a couple combos off and I was like, there it is. That's the guy that you want to see. And it's just like he never extends the one step past that. And I'm not saying that you have to run and gun and be out there, throwing 17 shot combos and like, just be throwing caution to the wind. Of course, you always want to be in control and making sure that you're protected and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you are confident enough that you can land 2 and 3, then maybe at some point you try for 4 and 5, or maybe at some point you mix it up. And like I will say, he goes to the body a lot nicely as well. So it's like you're mixing up the striking. You're confident enough to land power shots when you let yourself. Just do more of that. Be that guy is all that I mean, like, I don't understand where this like hesitation for Sterling still comes from at the time now. He's what, 3 fights in the UFC at this point, won all 3 of them. He's 8-0 still. The guy's undefeated. I guess maybe he's just really concerned about keeping his O or whatever. But like, bro, he has potential to be the guy that like everybody thinks that he possibly could be if he just lets himself.
Mhm. No, I definitely agree. Hydra makes a great point. Name is Navajo. Definitely not doing anything cool is saddening. Like that's a cool name, Navajo Sterling, and he is a cool dude. But I think, and this is obvious when you look at him and what he was coming into the UFC already. He's one of these people that in his free time cares a lot about his image. Gonna go get tattoos. Gonna get a hair transplant. Is he that focused on being the best light heavyweight in the world? These are things that you could question because of those factors right there, in my opinion. Like, bro, why are you getting a fucking sick tattoo on your fucking arm? Like, go be a fighter. Don't get the coolest tattoo that I've seen on a fighter in the light heavyweight division and then come out here and be boring. Go be boring without the cool tattoos. Okay? How about that?
Is the
I don't know.
tattoo really that cool? I haven't
I
seen it
don't
yet.
know, but if it was, like, I mean, that's the point. It's like even if you went out here and got the sickest tattoo ever, it could be the most G shit ever. It could be the Tommy gun thing. You have to have a great performance for me to be like, dude with the cool
True.
tattoo. It's like, dude, there's a dude fighting this weekend with a cool samurai on the back of his fucking back, and he's gonna fight like shit against the fucking champ. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like,
Perhaps. Yeah, no, I mean, to your point, Carlos Prates did the same thing and goes out there and actually annihilates, so he gets the
50,
pass.
listen, you get 50K bonuses. I don't care how many tattoos you get. You can get one per 50K. Navajo Sterling. There's no tattoos coming after this performance, pal. And if there
Yeah,
is, where are you at? Where are you
right.
at right now? Buy some new equipment for the gym.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, it's both sides though, really. I mean, Adolfo Bellato, we're not talking as much about him. Of course, he did not win this fight, but like it's the same deal. This was a snoozer up until the very end of the first round. What I had said, this is like strike here, clinch, strike there, clinch. I said commentary should not be saying he's starting to land 25 seconds into before the end of the second round.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like because that's literally what they were saying about Bellato. It's like, he's starting to land now. It's like now. I mean, the fight is almost over. He's got one more round. He's got 5 minutes and 25 seconds left in this fight. Like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Since we're talking about Bellato, I literally have to bring it up because Hydra brought it up a few times. He now has the infamous record of 1-1, 1-1 in the UFC. What do you think about this?
I think that it's a quite a feat. I have to say. I mean, it's very it's shocking to an extent. Not shocking, but it's perplexing that anybody can let themselves get to that point. But if you know the history of Bellato leading up to that record, it all tracks as to why that is the case. And I think that he himself is the exact person to have that record because he is just he's another one of these guys that has weird aura, weird miasma that circles around him. I
Well,
used to
he
say
is
that
from
about
Brazil. It's called voodoo, actually, but
so yeah, the rainforest voodoo magic. I am familiar with that with Poeton, but
yes.
no, I had said that about Khalil Roundtree before he started turning himself around. I remember us talking about that on this very show back in the day, saying that there's just a cloud that hangs in the air around him. Bellato is in the exact same camp as far as I'm concerned. I mean, a guy who is going to go out there and pull off the Shakespeare level acting performance that he did against Paul Craig. You create the dark rain cloud for yourself.
100%.
So, yeah, 30-27 for Sterling in this fight. Bellato didn't do much of anything in this fight. The outcome was almost predetermined if that was going to be the case. So Sterling stays on. And as I said, I want to emphasize this point only because I believe that there is a greater fighter within him. You know what I mean? Like I feel like if he just allows himself to spread his wings, if he gets past the city kickboxing just a little bit, there's something greater to be gleaned from him. He just has to be willing to take that extra step. So hopefully we see that at some point.
I mean, it's possible. We saw it, and we'll talk about it for the main event.
Of
If there's
course.
somebody for him to train with and look forward to, or look forward to matching up with. I know it's New Zealand and Australia, but whatever. Hey, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever, that is what it is for that fight. Next one up was actually a pretty good fight here. I wish it had lasted longer. This is Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. I think that you had pegged this as possibly being fight of the night, and it might have been if it had gone on for a little bit longer than it did.
It might have been. I would actually like to point out this is the second UFC card in a row where I don't believe that we got a fight of the night bonus, and valid.
Yeah,
So,
legit.
this one right here, I think again, I was waiting for you to come in here and tell me that I got these right on a tee. This one again, I thought this was right on the fucking nail. Tom Nolan was
You said Charlie Campbell was going to win this fight, buddy.
no. But I think no, I don't think I did. But either way, maybe even if I did, I think what I said was accurate to a T. Charlie Campbell is great on offense, but for some reason has the weirdest thing when it comes to defensive striking because he just gets punched and he instantly retreats. He's instantly hurt by everything that comes back to him. He gets in this fight and it's an interesting striking match because Tom Nolan is the Australian Jalen Turner, but he is also one of these dudes that have turned a page in his career that he's a grappler now. He knows how to grapple and he goes for submissions that he gets. Charlie Campbell though doesn't give a shit. He's a brawler when it comes down to it. He goes in there and throws bombs and he does have power. Like that's what's really interesting about him is like when he is striking and he's leading the dance, like he's leading. I said the same thing with him and Chris Duncan. He was whooping Chris Duncan up until just a random shot just flatlines him. And it's like up until that moment, you're 4 minutes into the round, you would have taken the best shot by then. It's like you would, they're gonna set it up, you're gonna set up something and then you're gonna go for it, and that's gonna be your first, exchange. But you're obviously it's going to mean something. You're going to want to end it there kind of deal. Eventually, up until this 4 minute mark, you have taken big shots. Why up until now were you able, and then just randomly, you just get clipped by Tom Nolan, you go to the fucking ground, and then you get submitted, and it's like, how does it go so wrong so quick for Charlie Campbell? Because he is genuinely not horrible.
No, well, I'll tell you how it goes wrong is that Campbell, he fights like a heavyweight. All what you're describing is the way that a heavyweight fights. And I mean, like, he definitely has that confidence to do that. And I can appreciate that because you're right. I mean, like, we literally had that discussion about, how I appreciate the brawly style. And I think that we're seeing less of it lately, as the sport evolves past it. More technique is obviously going to be better for the fighters, but there is an entertainment value to somebody who's going to go out there and really just go balls to the wall. Campbell does that. But what he does within that is the problem, because what you're sacrificing there is that technicality. He reaches with his shots from very far out. I said that he's going to continue to get countered a ton. He didn't get countered a ton in this fight specifically, but the way that he reaches for shots, he's asking for it. And then the other big problem that he showed was that whenever, I'm the first one to say, stand him up. If, when you knock somebody down, stand them right up. With Campbell, unfortunately, though, he was anxious to get it back to the feet. I think that he was showing early warning signs of not having confidence on the ground with the way that he was doing it. Because the second that he would land that shot, he was like, "Oh, no, 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 up, 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 up."
Yes, no, what's really funny about that, and it's hilarious. I think Mank was the one who pointed this out in the Discord. Is like, I love to see a fighter who rushes it back to it, and then while the fighter's trying to get up, they just try to bum rush them before they. It's like, dude, all right, come on. Like you literally have no opportunity if you think that's going to be the moment right there. It kind of reminds me of Sugar Sean and Marab. It's like Sean had his one moment when Marab turned his back and walked away, and he took it, and he
Yeah,
was
true.
he was hoping that was the end right there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought that actually looked like it was a little bit of gamesmanship on Nolan's part because it looked like he was half going for the stand up and then he kind of like went back to the ground. But upon looking at it back, it was because Campbell was like rushing in. It's like, hey, come on, but if you want him to stand up, you got to let him stand up,
yeah.
you know. But that was twice that happened, and the second one was really the one that made me like kind of set the alarm bell off in my mind because I'm like, he is, the commentary even said, oh, he wants no part of anything on the ground, and I'm like, well, that's signaling something negative to me. If like it's one thing to say stand up, it's another thing to be like, I do not want to go to the
Mm.
ground. And ultimately we saw what happens when he was on the ground. So unfortunate deal there for him. But I think that that's really to the point, like what you were saying, like the style is definitely fun when it's working for him, but as you get higher up in this sport, and especially this Tom Nolan kid is not half bad. So I mean, it makes sense that a guy like him would be able to take advantage of what Campbell was putting out.
I definitely agree. It genuinely is just interesting because I feel like I knew exactly how Charlie Campbell was going to react to punches. I didn't think that he was going to actually get the success in the striking to where Tom Nolan is literally like hurt like really early, and then to just to have a comeback like that in the first round. I mean, Tom Nolan is only impressing me more and more, and I've been confident in this dude for a little bit. So if I pick Charlie Campbell, it is what it is. Puncher's chance. He did wobble him, whatever. So fair, but shout out Tom Nolan. The submission game is really it. I actually, when he got the sub, I was like, fuck, I knew he had been got grappling. Like I knew he was doing it in his last fight, So whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, the unfortunate thing, and was the first submission for Campbell, the first submission that he succumbed to. Really, it was just a well timed situation from Nolan's perspective because he basically swings the momentum with some shots, clinches Campbell on the cage, drags him down, and Charlie just happened. It basically just had his neck open. I mean, that's he was scrambling to try to create some space, and the neck was right there. Great awareness for Nolan. So I mean, these are all credits to Tom Nolan more than anything else. I think Campbell was really kicking himself after the loss, but on the other side of the equation, this was just good fight IQ, and that's what you really want to see out of a newer fighter like Tom Nolan. So I give him a lot of credit in this fight. Going up against somebody who obviously was coming out there with lethal intentions earlier on. He put him on the mat twice, came back and still did his thing. So great win for Tom Nolan, and yeah, I mean perhaps a pretty high ceiling for him.
Yeah, Tom Nolan's pretty cool. He just needs to fight more. Needs to be more active.
Well, he needs to get out of Australia. These guys need to not wait for the, Adelaide card or whatever. You know what I
True.
mean? We can become more international, and people will know your name much
Hell
more.
yeah.
So, all right, moving on. We got to talk about this one. Obviously, this is a discussion waiting to happen. So this is Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. Now, just before I say anything regarding all of the fuckery in this fight, I have to say, it was Thinker St. James who said Neil Magny is the dude that's going to make everybody kick themselves for not picking him when he ends up pulling out the victory. Granted, he pulls out the victory. Big asterisk on this victory.
I genuinely wouldn't put an asterisk on this one. I mean, obviously, I know the ref situation, and we're going to get some appeals, and we'll see how this one unfolds, later down the line. But I brought it up earlier, actually, is the UFC experience basically only works if your name is Neil Magny. I think it's actually a funny thing that we saw on this card. So many people flopped from the UFC experience side of it, but Neil Magny stands true to what he does. Somebody put a tweet about it, and it's so funny. It's like Neil Magny's game plan is to fight until his opponent is tired of whooping his ass. And then that's when he strikes. And he's like a cobra in that way, he knows that the singular moment that you slip up and you take that deep breath, like, whew, it's over. he's ready to go, and it's pretty crazy to me, and it's so funny to see him in his post fight speech have a smile on his face. He's just having a good time. Like, man, this is just what I do. They think that I'm the old man, but I just get it done. Shit like that. He's just awesome. So I do kind of respect him a little more. I'm coming around to Neil Magny, and I think I've said that in the last fight. So whatever.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I put out the short from our previous episode about it with the express intention of being able to bring it back up, and
Nice.
thankfully I was successful in that.
But you
Yeah,
almost weren't, and tell
I,
us why.
exactly. I mean, so yeah, I mean, all of those things said. So yeah, I mean, really, the bigger story of this thing is the fact that this fight probably should not have left the first round, and basically to go over it for everybody. Um, Towards the end of the round, actually at the very end of the round, Neil changes levels. Jake grabs his neck, then rolls into a mounted guillotine, and Neil sort of flies his arm out in a limp fashion. He kind of was hanging his arm out. What I said at that point is that Neil, if he was going to do that, should have, especially as a veteran as he is, should have had the wherewithal to know that you put the thumb up when you are doing that. Because Dom was saying, "Oh, he's creating space," and I'm like, Dom, you always say that. Dom Cruz.
I wanted to make a comment about that too. He made it worse by doing the no, no, no. That's what you do. That's what you do. You just go limp. It's creating space for him to breathe.
Yeah, Dom Cruz loves to get on referees. I mean, and we know why. I mean, obviously Dom Cruz has a very, a very valid reason for that, and in his own mind. But he is the first person to be jumping on the referee and criticizing their, what they're doing or whatever. But when you see an arm go out in the way that it did, and it's just hanging there in a limp fashion, you understand why the referee thought what he thought. And also the other thing too is that the referee verbally said Neil Magny is out. He's like, "Oh, Neil's out." I mean, like, I don't know if it was Jake saying it or him, but somebody said it. One of the two of them said it. And I would assume that it was the referee, because how would Jake know? I mean, he didn't, he's mounted. He can't tell
Well,
under,
I
I
mean, you
mean,
can
maybe,
feel a lifeless body.
yeah, I mean, I guess to an extent, okay, whatever. Regardless, somebody said it.
Gamesmanship.
Could be. But so yeah, so Neil's got the arm out. It's kind of hanging there. The ref calls the fight off before the horn. Neil immediately says he's not out. He wakes, not wakes up, but he pops right back up. "I'm not out. I'm not out." And then the ref basically just goes back on his word, saying, "I was just calling the round over and not the fight," and the fight continues on.
What's interesting to note is yes, the ref stopped the fight with 1 second left, and then the midst of them getting up, that's when the horn breaks. Now, what's also crucial to note with the context is because I believe somebody in the Discord asked, like, if you once the ref waves it off, like it's over. If you actually watch, he never waves it off. He actually never does the whole hand gesture. So
Didn't he put his hands on him though?
he did stop him, but he didn't actually do the like type thing. Like, so in theory, I mean, I guess he did save himself there by not actually having to uh, go back on that. Figure out how to way to call off the fight. But what I wanted to say is, as soon as Neil starts protesting, in any other situation, means jack shit. Literally means jack shit. I've seen plenty of people protest that they are not out. Robbie Lawler is a great example. Just because it wasn't at the end of the fucking bell doesn't mean you can't, save your ass there, I guess. But um, this one was pretty funny to see Neil Magny, protest. And in the moment, I actually felt, I don't know why. Sometimes I'm pretty good, guys. Sometimes I'm pretty good. I felt this one wasn't over. I was like, oh, no way, it's not over. No way. They're going straight. Like, it kind of had some weird vibes to it, but I think we all kind of felt that this was going to go on. Normally, the UFC, when they have their rinky dink moments, they're not often perfect, but sometimes they work out in the best way that they maybe could have. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it did. I'm glad it continued on for Neil's sake, because we were talking about this during the watch along. Neil Magny probably has the most comeback victories in all of the UFC, if you really think about it. I mean, you can name several off. I mean, Mike Malott, a couple of these other big ones that he's had over time. I mean, he's like the comeback kid. So, a situation like this is not uncommon for him. Him and Jared Cannonier are two good examples of that, where it's like, if you're going to stop the fight prematurely, you really are doing them a pretty big disservice, because they do have the ability to come back. So I'm glad that that's how it went. But from the referee's perspective here, I mean, the only thing that he could really say is that you're like that. I went to go stop the round early, and that is the only like that would be the only valid thing here. But you're still wrong in doing that. You still deprived Jake Matthews of a second worth of fight that way. So either way, the referee is not looking good, no matter which way you cut this. And if it had gone how it should have probably gone, when a referee makes the call, that's the call. Like that's the end. I mean, any sport is that way. Baseball, it's a huge. You see baseball with the umpire arguing there, and then he's having to eject people and this and that. That's always based on him standing his ground, being like, you commit to your call. There is no half stepping when it comes to refereeing. So if he was going to stop the fight, then he should have stopped the fight. But if he wasn't going to stop the fight, then he stopped the round a second early, excuse me. So either way, there is some shystiness going on there. Not shystiness. So it's just some fuckery, some shenanigans.
So this brings the question: do you want more of the type of referee that, in the moment, he knows he made a mistake and he's able to, fix it on the fly somehow, some way? Thankfully, he didn't make the call. Thankfully, he was just like, "Whoa, we're good, we're good." Thankfully that was the case. Or do you want the referee that's going to be the stern asshole that's like, "Nope, I called it, dude. You shouldn't have fucking waved your hand, or you shouldn't have acted limp. I'm sorry, it's over." Like,
I
Herb
know.
Dean was fucking, smooching with Robbie Lawler after he fucking called that fight early. He's like, "Dude, I'm sorry, I fucked up." Like,
Yeah,
what do
yeah.
we want to see here?
Herzog with Henry Cejudo, that kind of thing as well. Yeah, you make a good point with that, and it's a tough
Middle
pickle.
ground,
Yeah, yeah,
balance.
yeah, right. It certainly is a tough one. I think that for the integrity of officiating in general, it should be that the word is law. But I mean, you can, I don't know, maybe there should be like some official oversight kind of stuff at that
Uh,
point. Maybe the commission should come in and say that the fight goes on.
Well, we invest all this money into a replay system that we never fucking use and actually correct calls. So this is just the one time where the replay system didn't actually have to come into effect and we made the right call happen. Shout out to Jake Matthews, but I'm sorry, pal, you didn't submit him unconscious. Like, I mean, you can be mad and you can appeal it all you want. I mean, the round was stopped early, but mate, he wasn't unconscious. So the ref, in my opinion, if you're on the side of the ref has to stand by his call, cool. But I'm kind of on the side of that fight shouldn't have been ended right there. So he kind of helped me out. I mean, it was two more rounds of Neil Magny sucking before he actually won. But like, it is what it is. We could have been mad talking about, yo, Neil Magny wasn't fucking out, bro. You
Yeah.
would have been talking about how you had so much stock in Neil Magny. That was the perfect fight for him to come back and win. Shit like that.
True. No, yeah,
Whatever.
you're speaking facts right now. So, yeah, I mean, in lieu of a better outcome of, or better like set of circumstances in the moment, this is what we got. And yeah, I mean, it worked out in Neil's favor. Jake Matthews, of course, is going to appeal the decision that's already in motion. It's gonna be very interesting to see what the commission has to say about that. That I think is hopefully one that sets a little bit of a precedent, because maybe there is some wiggle room with it. My thing with it, I'm sorry, I'll let you go. And it's
No,
just one
you're
thing.
fine.
My thing with it is that we talk time over time, week over week, about there not being a definitive set of standards and regulations in the sport in general. So if that's going to be the case, then yes, there obviously is wiggle room with all of this. Like, because that's what I'm trying to say, is that like, if you want to be rigid, then it needs to be enforced across the board. If you're not going to be rigid, then there obviously are many situations where it's going to be specific to that one instance, and it has to be looked at, as an isolated incident, as opposed to something that has a top-down rule. So you got to decide what you want, and that comes from the top down as far as the commission goes, and they don't seem to want to make a call on that. So this is what you get.
I think, and I want to respond to Didgery Dave's comment here about Matthews doesn't ref, the ref said it ended. I think this is one of those moments where, thankfully, he didn't say what was happening or what he thought. I don't remember. I watched it a couple times. I don't remember the ref specifically saying it's over or waving the fight off. I think he was somehow able to mentally, remember that he did not slip up. So when he stopped him, it's more just like, all right, break. Oh, he's not out. He's not out. Well, I didn't say it was. I didn't say it was over. I didn't do it. So we gotta go. So I don't know. In my opinion, I think on a technicality. I think there's no footage of him saying it's over or waving it off. So I think he somehow saved his butt, but whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, Neil Magny comes back, gets a Darce submission of his own here. Well, so I guess just to finish up the conversation about this whole refereeing situation, what would be your ideal outcome from all of this? Do you think that the referee should be reprimanded in any way? Do you think that there's
Post
any?
fight speech, get him on the mic, tell me why you did what you did.
Yeah, I
Need
mean,
it.
I didn't know you've said that in the past, but as far as this specifically, with like the way that this is working out, with this being appealed, if he has to go before the commission and explain it there, and he says, "Oh, I stopped the round a second early," is there something that should come down from that? I guess is my question.
No, because he was honest, dude.
So
Come on.
he just fucked up. Yeah, it was
I
just an in
mean,
the
dude,
moment.
I mean,
I
if
mean,
you
we saw
admit,
Big Dan Murgliata not stop a fight for 10 seconds. I mean, so it's, yeah. I mean, I guess it just happens, right?
I mean, if you're honest about it, people make mistakes. I mean, stand by the bad call that you had. Don't make a whole big story about it. Like, oh no, I thought Neil Magny was out, but I made the wrong call and I fixed it on the fly. Like, dude, you're not God here. It's not your job to change the whole fucking system. Just say you made the bad call. I stopped it early. I heard the clapper and I heard the and I went for it. I'm just quick to it. I got very good ears. I don't know.
All
So
right,
my
fair enough.
reaction time as a referee, it's just on point. That's how good I am at my job. I heard the bell. I was getting to it before the bell even stopped. I don't know.
Exactly. He's one step ahead.
Thank you. I mean, they shouldn't all of our referees be one step ahead of the action? I mean,
Perhaps. Well, yeah. I mean, and I guess that's about it for this fight, really. I mean, it was Jake looked okay in that second round. Good work on the ground. Neil hanging on, and then comes back with the Darce. Neil Magny, the only man who will be both submitted and win by submission in the same damn fight.
I think that is just indicative of who he is. But I would also like to just mention that Jake Matthews, when we started, he went from random Jake Matthews, random Aussie Jake Matthews, to average Aussie Jake Matthews. I hate to break it to you. You have been downgraded one more time. You are back down to the random Aussie Jake Matthews. I'm sorry.
Unfortunate that is the case. I think that there's probably still more to Jake Matthews than something like this would lead one to believe. I think that Neil Magny, again, goes back to the respect level of Neil Magny. I think that he should be respected and somebody who will do this kind of thing. But I think that there are probably going to be plenty of other fighters that Jake Matthews can still beat. So go out there, continue to get some more wins, and let you put this one behind you, I guess.
Yeah, see, thanks Hydra for actually confirming it on Fight Pass. Never waved it off, both hands. Yeah, he went from he was like stop, and then he was like oh okay, like he made the mistake, but thankfully he was able to not slip up enough where he's like it's over. Oh no, it's not. Then you really can't go back. But in this one, he was able to make his way out. That's just all I'll say on it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. So, yep, good win for Neil Magny. How about that?
True.
All right, well, let's move on here. Jack Jenkins, excuse me, Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares. This was the fight that you had referenced earlier about me saying that Tavares is possibly fighting for his job here in the UFC. And after a fight like this, I kind of stay exactly by my original assessment, and it's fights like this that brought me to it in the first place.
Yeah, no, this one was not a fun fight. Very boring. I actually really liked Jack Jenkins in this fight. I actually thought like he decent, well-rounded skill set, for featherweight. Nothing too impressive is the unfortunate thing about him. Like, the leg kicks are fine. He's finished a couple people with leg kicks, sure. But you have Roman Tavares who's doing next to nothing, and you had a close fight with him. So that's just not really my cup of tea. He's fine, Jack Jenkins, sure, but he's not no killer. I mean, he ain't somebody that I would say needs to be the third fight up from the fucking main event with Roman Tavares. Like,
Right.
come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a very glorified spar of a fight yet again, and I said, never have I seen a fight this competitive be so mid. Is kind of how I felt about it, like because these guys were going for it. I mean, like I remember clearly on the watch along watching this fight and being like, yeah, I mean they're throwing. It's not like they're not doing stuff here. I mean, it's like it was really just a kickboxing affair on both sides for all three rounds without any major damage done, and even the clinch and groundwork in the third round went both ways. So it was like nobody really pulling ahead. I mean, it was just like Jack was a little bit better in all 3 rounds, but it wasn't like it was a complete knockdown drag out. Both guys were doing stuff, but it was just stuff. It was just fight. It wasn't any kind of definitive, this is the thing that stands out in all of these 15 minutes.
Yeah, and Hydra makes a good point. Tavares was overweight in this fight, um,
Oh,
and
was he?
yeah, he missed weight.
I did
Uh,
not realize that he missed
not,
weight.
I don't think it was by, might have been like 2 or 3 pounds, something like that. But yeah, I mean, goddamn. Normally, when people miss weight, it kind of adds a little interest to the fight. Like, oh, is he gonna just be completely shit because he couldn't make weight, or is he gonna be fighting with an advantage because he didn't make weight? Um, this one didn't have either of that. Ramon Tavares is just terrible. He's just not. I made the wrong assessment thinking it was possible for him to win this fight, but he just like I said, he's got the Chris Gutierrez to him. He's like he'll show up sometimes, and the other 9 times he's definitely not. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is the exact reason that I was saying what I was saying before about him. It's not necessarily that he's not a skilled fighter, it's that he doesn't have that next element that makes him somebody who is like a winner, and B, a draw. I mean, because there are plenty of fighters who go out there and lose and still do it in a way where you give them their respect. I mean, Elvis
Neil
Brenner,
Magny,
Neil Magny is certainly one of them.
Anthony
I
Smith,
say Elvis Brenner, I think, is a great example of this. I mean, that guy he'll lose fights and go out there and you stand up and applaud for his loss. You know what I
true.
mean? So, it's just a different type of approach to fighting. And I don't think that Jack Jenkins really had to do much more than what he was doing to get this win. Like, Jack was just more active and effective with his striking and his movement. He was also better at thwarting Tavares's attacks. That's all you got to do.
Which I would like to point out to everybody who maybe didn't catch this one because I wouldn't blame you for sleeping through it. All of the things that Jack Jenkins did good that Thinker just talked about, I mean, you would still watch this and think, not the most active, not the most power, not the most skill, not the most variety, not the best, not this, not that. I mean, this guy is just genuinely he's just a decent to good level fighter. I mean, and then going against somebody who's basically showcasing nothing and he still looks like a very mid to average level fighter. I mean, it's just not a great look for Jack Jenkins. Like I said at the beginning, I do decently like the skill set that he has, but that's me if I'm forcing myself to like somebody on this card out of everybody else who's let me down. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like if he's middle, if Tavares is middle, then Jenkins is like a notch above middle. When what you really want is like a bigger divide there.
well, you got to go with the good old gauging. You got to take Dan Ige. Dan Ige is as good as you get before great. Where does Jack Jenkins lie? Would he be able to have a contest with Dan Ige? I think yes, but he loses by unanimous decision. So,
Yeah, I
what?
think accurate assessment. I mean, the one note that I had was that Jenkins does have nice kicks, and he uses them a lot. So, some credit there, I suppose. But Tavares was getting through the range pretty effectively for that. So a lot of times it would just end up going into a clinch situation because he wasn't staying at kicking range. So it's like if you're negating the ability to do the one thing that you have a leg up in, then I mean, it just becomes this type of a fight, and I think it's a pretty accurate assessment. It's just Jenkins is middle of the road, and Tavares is just trying to approach middle of the road.
Yeah, but too bad he's on his way out after a performance like that. I mean, I got to agree with you.
Yeah, this is, I mean, and that's what I'd seen from him several times at this point now. So, we'll just have to see if he'll probably stick around for one or two more, but he's got to turn the switch. I mean, he's another guy that I really think is in that same boat, without the killer instinct. I don't see the finishing, the drive to finish. It just
Right.
doesn't, it doesn't come through with him. So, that's
I
going to be a big differentiator.
Well, I wanted to double check before I spoke too soon, but don't you worry. There is definitely featherweights on Contender Series tomorrow. So Roman Tavares, bing bang boom, will get you replaced really, really soon.
Exactly. We're going to be finding out who your next opponent's going to be tomorrow night.
Literally.
All right. Well, let's move on to the co-main of this thing. This is Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Erslan. Yeah, so this was another weird one. I don't think that I have ever seen the camel clutch pulled off in a mixed martial arts competition, but god damn it if Jimmy Crute didn't do it.
Um, the first thing that I want to know before I talk about the hilarity of the finish here is Ivan Urslan he got brutally beat up by the dude in the featured bout of this card here in Navajo Sterling. How did he end up fighting on the co-main event against Jimmy Crute is beyond me. Um, but what's
Setup. It
also
was a setup. It was exactly what we said last week. They were setting up Jimmy Crute.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Jimmy Crew, I am starting to like him a little bit. He is fun. He does have grappling, as you can see, but he's also I think I get it. Like I think I just get Jimmy Crew, and I think I get the hype behind him. It's not because he's a fan. I mean, he is a hometown hero, fan guy, but like he has good fight instincts. Like he has wherever the fight goes, he's competent enough to utilize the right skills, and I think that's what's really good about it. And I think the finish showcases just that. It's not that he needed the perfect sequence to get an RNC. He didn't need to get hooks in. He didn't need to do this. No, he got a hold of his neck in whatever fashion was possible, and he said, "I'm taking it with me. I'm going back." And it wasn't a submission that you normally would see because in my opinion, now look, I've never had my fucking head pulled on, but I think there's a reason we don't normally see a submission like this. Is probably because it's not that fucking easy to get. Like you should probably be able to defend that by now by just pushing the hands. I don't know. It looked like it hurt, but he also was screaming like people in WWE. Like this was legit a WWE move, and I once again will tell you to tell me that it is fake when you see shit like this. A light heavyweight male, 205 pounds, got a WWE move applied to him in a mixed martial arts bout, and there are people out there who laugh at me. I'm just saying, laugh at him. So
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it was certainly unique. I like. I want to like Jimmy Crute too, I guess, but like, I just don't see any kind of like greater, any kind of like bigger like picture for him. I think that like things like this are the things that will define him. And there is value in that in and of itself. Like I think that that's great. Like he will always be able to say that he is the guy that got the camel clutch in the UFC. I mean that's a pretty big accolade in some respect. Um, does it translate into a greater path forward towards some bigger achievement? Probably not, I would suspect at least. But I mean, what now? Two coming back. Two finishes in a row coming back. So I guess there's something to that. Um, Urslan started out in this fight with some decent hands. He had some okay striking at the very beginning. I thought that Jimmy, like you said, the instincts were there. He answered with a really solid double leg takedown. So good work for having the awareness. Nice, easy takedown for him. Urslan needs to work on his takedown defense, but Crute gets it and then stayed with it. This is another great example. It's similar to what we were talking about earlier with Thayanara, where it's like if you have your opponent in a compromised position on the ground and you continue the control, good things can happen. So I want to give him the respect where the respect is deserved, and it certainly is here. He stayed on his back, he kept control, and then he legitimately reversed can opener, even Urslan to the point where he tapped. So that isn't a great thing, and like Hydra's saying, he did it in front of the home crowd, as we were saying he was set up to do. So everything went according to plan. I just, I want to see Jimmy Crute against somebody who's going to give him a better fight and see if he actually is back. Because I was saying that about our main event here, so Dominic Reyes was talking about being, better, not back. I'm not back, I'm better. And we saw what happened there. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm seeing different, but similar with Jimmy Crute.
I think the main thing that you're missing from Hydra's statements is that he did this with a mullet.
That is
And so
true.
we do have a lot of different UFC alum that come in here with different varieties of mullets and shags and different type of hairstyles that are party in the back and business in the front or whatever you want to say. And Jimmy Crew, I mean, I guess it fits him, so.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the all business up front, the party going on in the back. I don't think that you can really deny it when you are legitimately pulling an Iron Sheik on your opponent.
True.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all checking out. He's checking boxes, and congratulations to him on this one. Again, handpicked opponent for this type of thing. Perhaps I need to see it against somebody who's going to actually give him some competition. But in this time, I mean, like I said, I don't think that I have ever actually seen like new things happen in the sport all the time, and isn't that amazing? Like I don't think I have ever seen that move actually pulled off
There
in a mixed martial arts fight.
there was another fight on this card where a dude picked him up
Neil
by
Magny,
oh, that's
yeah.
exactly what it was. Yeah, that was a pretty good WWE move there too. I mean, he was about to pile drive. That's an old school pile driver. That's where you pick him up. Yeah, so that's the Bret Hart pile driver. If anybody out there knows, that's Bret Hart shit right there. But yeah, no, WWE moves are very funny when they happen. Aljamain to Calvin Cater doing the the tombstone was a pretty good
Yeah.
one. There's a lot of good ones out there. And it's just fun to see them because they really just make you believe, like, man, at a time, this is what fighting was, and they had to portray it theatrically. Like, this is what fighting used to be, and they were like, we got to put that out there so we could tell stories with it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. I mean, if you can actually do it and make it effective, then by all means do that cool shit. I mean, like I'd love to see people doing more elbow drops and stuff like that if it makes sense. He made it make sense.
I think an elbow drop is what we're going to see out of all the WWE moves. I think an elbow drop is probably one of the first. I think so.
Or
I'm confident.
somebody's dropping that people's elbow in honor of the Rock and the Smashing Machine movie we'll talk about at the very end here.
Hell
But
yeah.
all right. Yeah. So shout out to Jimmy Crute. We, I know Hydra doesn't want to talk about it, but we got to. It's the main event of the evening here. It's Carlos Ulberg versus Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes did absolutely nothing in this fight. Yet again, what I said in that last fight, I do not give a single fuck what those stats say. That is absolute horseshit. He did nothing in this fight.
This fight was interesting because one, I did think it was going to be a boring decision where Ulberg was going to just dance on the outside, and that's what we got for the very snippet of this fight. Because honestly, this fight going on for 4.5 minutes, where the first 4 minutes nothing happened, was pretty crazy. Um, Dominic Reyes, I agree with you. He was doing nothing, and it was because Ulberg, again, at range, Dominic Reyes can keep walking him down in the straight line all he wants, but Ulberg is literally just going to duck to a side and get the open cage behind him. Dominic Reyes, you saw it right around the 4:15 mark. Dominic Reyes is sitting out at the distance. He stops walking forward and he's got his hands just low. He's like, there's nothing coming back. No reason would I have my guard up because he's nowhere near me. I've just kept walking forward. Nothing's happened. So, just chilling. I got my hands ready. If he comes, he comes. And then that was the moment that he gets blitzed and just eviscerated. It wasn't necessarily a jab because it kind of slipped right through the guard. It was a jab, but it was a little more impactful than him just popping a jab. He knew, I'm splitting the guard with this and setting up a monster of a straight right. And credit to him, that's what he did. Dominic Reyes, God, the look on his face when he was on the mat, like waking up from consciousness, like, like it just sucks to see. I'm not gonna lie, because Reyes, fuck, man, I wanted to believe that that was possible, but I didn't want to believe that this outcome was possible. I wanted to think he's losing by decision. We're gonna have some hope for him after him getting flatlined like this by a point striker. Not a great look.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Ulberg was winning the round off of activity alone before the shots that put Dom out. I mean, he was really picking him apart from the outside like we thought he was going to, and just Reyes just giving all the respect in the world. Now, I mean, granted, it is the first round of a 5-rounder. You would think there would be a feel out period. There was literally 2 minutes of feel out slash idle animation in this fight to begin with, but it's
Emotes, literally, like they were
right. I mean,
doing
yeah,
nothing.
so it's like, at a certain point, you got to start doing something. I mean, like this is exactly what will happen under that circumstance. Um, Reyes just not having the awareness to realize that setup was exactly what was coming down the line is unfortunate. but again, this is on a sadly not surprising conclusion when the lead up was what it was. Like, if he had been moving better, if he had been attempting to throw things out, he was feinting decently at one point where I was like, okay, he's starting to, I thought he in his own mind was putting the pieces together to set something up. I was like, he would do that, the jab jump forward step, and I was like, okay, he's trying to make him flinch. Now, Ulberg was pretty cool under pressure with all of that stuff. He wasn't really reacting to anything. So I'm like, you might want to adjust that a little bit. This is all happening in real time. So this is all very quick, trying to decipher what actually is the reality of it. And then just out of nowhere, it ends up being the setup with the two shots from Ulberg that dropped him and put him out. And it's like, oh, all of those traps that you may have been laying were for naught at this point.
I think the last thing that I want to talk about for Ulberg, because really there's not much to talk about in the fight. They did nothing, and then
Yeah.
he knocks him out. I mean, it was just bang, bang, boom after watching him do nothing for 4 minutes. But anyway, when the press conference came around, I had Henry in the Discord telling me that it's going to be a banger. Press conference is going to be a banger. Carlos Ulberg has so much personality. Well, that press conference was boring. He had plenty of questions that I listened to that were boring. He gets on the fight after a knockout win against somebody who is, great in some regards. Honestly, I think a lot of people tend to like Dominic Reyes just because they hate John Jones, but that's another story for a different day. Carlos Ulberg, though, after a knockout win of somebody on the caliber of Dominic Reyes, had the most boring post fight speech that I've ever like he literally has just no personality at all. Like Henry, I know he loves his guys, and obviously New Zealander is not really an Australian, but either way, don't try to tell me this dude has any personality. It's not his game. It's just not his game at all. He's just bland, boring, cringe, and he can knock out Dominic Reyes. So that's where I'll leave it. I'm not a hater. I do like Carlos Ulberg a little more now that he actually, he did finish him, and like he didn't just point strike for 5 rounds, which was what was gonna annoy me. And so I'm confident that I'll buy into him, getting a good matchup going forward. But I don't know if I'm necessarily on board with him winning a belt still. But we'll definitely see.
Well, yeah, I mean, aside from him, yeah, being rather milquetoast in personality, nice guy. I mean, definitely a respectful person, and I'd say one of the good guys of the sport, kind of thing. What?
So I don't know if you saw in the Discord. It might have been Didgery Dave because he mentioned something. He was like, I don't know I don't know if it was just me or that interview question or that interview with Carlos Ulberg gave me like a little zesty vibes from him.
Yes, it was Didgery Dave. I wasn't going to bring it up, but that is
Did,
something that he was insinuating.
do you know what clip he was talking about?
He posted it. It was just the press conference.
It was just a random clip. Okay, so the one that I thought he was talking about, there was a clip of an interviewer asking how he got his nickname, the Black Jag. And from what it sounded like, he was maybe a male stripper or a bouncer of some sort. I don't know if those
Oh,
are two different things in a row, but for some reason it seemed like they were like, he was the Black Jag, he was out there around. Like, I don't know. Like, that's kind of what it sounded like. So that's what I thought Didgery Dave was talking about, but eh, whatever. So
I don't. I mean, I listen to his cadence. I think that there is like he has a natural lilt to his voice. So I guess maybe you can infer something from that,
there we
perhaps. But
go. There we go, Hydra. I'm sure you guys know he's a former male
okay,
stripper.
so
Okay,
there you go.
bingo. There we
There's the
go.
answer. Former male stripper. Okay, well, power to him, I suppose. Then we live in a very liberated world today, so uh, I parlayed it into a fight career. I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much on the guy's personal life if it's stuff that he wants to put out
Well,
into
I
the
didn't.
world.
Well, I
But
didn't mean talk about that stuff. I just wanted to talk about the story of him being a male stripper. Really,
oh
I
well, I
thought
mean
that.
that's
Yeah,
that. I mean, congratulations to him. I mean, if he got the physique and you want to do it, then I mean, get that money, brother. How get it where you get in where you fit in, and
true.
he certainly was able to do that. So I don't all of those things. Like I said, I think he seems like a very mild mannered, very nice guy. I certainly wouldn't think that he'd be a big talker, and he's not. So I don't know where
Yeah.
Henry's getting that from, even with the support of the locals. But I thought he was very gracious in his victory, and had some good things to say about Reyes. And what I was going to leave this conversation on is the fact that we might actually see sometime in the near future Ulberg versus Magomed Ankalaev for the title. coming soon to a pay-per-view near you. What a world we live in. What is happening to light
Now,
heavyweight?
the UFC always has a way to sort itself out. Just when you think the division's dead and there's no fights left to make, nope, nope. It's gonna get freshened
Oh, I
up
mean,
no
yeah,
matter
it'll
what.
always get sorted out. I think the bigger point is that light heavyweight is kind of in that same deadlock situation that middleweight was at, like right at the tail end of Izzy's time at the top, where it's like you've got a couple of guys who are sort of hovering and circling. They're going on the carousel, so to speak. You got Yuri and Khalil now in that conversation. Poatan obviously still in there, and now the champion. And we just need to see all of that sort of shake out and start sorting itself. But now you've got Ulberg in the equation as well. So adds a little bit of a dynamic. But really, once you start going down past that like upper, top 5 region, like we need some infusion in light heavyweight. Like light
True.
heavyweight is starting to get hurt. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's unfortunate because one of the prospects that we have in light heavyweight is an Australian, and one of the top contenders is a New Zealander. So we're most likely not going to see them ever match up, depending on how long of a career this Ulberg guy is going to have. He's already been here for a while. If Sterling actually reaches the top, I mean, this is going to be some avoidance type of deal in the top of the division. There's not many names that Sterling has to go through to get fucking ranked. I
I
mean,
mean, they're not the same religion, so that might not necessarily be the case. They might be like we saw it with Volkov and Pavlovich. They were supposed to be buddies, and Volkov was like, "Sign on the line, brother. I'm down." That was a little bit of a rift. So I'm just saying it's not out of the question that they
I hear you.
actually, But we'll look. We all will be revealed over time. But it's kind of crazy that Carlos Ulberg has gotten himself to where he's gotten himself. So, you see it in fights like that. His previous fights, it's like maybe there's a little bit more to be desired, but if he can go out there and replicate that kind of thing against higher competition, then, maybe there's something more to Carlos Ulberg than what we're giving credit for so far.
Yeah, I definitely, I
I know,
don't
yeah,
want to.
it's a maybe. It's still a
Yeah,
maybe at this point.
it's
But
it sucks that he's still got to prove himself to us.
yeah, it's
Um,
at number what 2 now. I mean, he was number 3 coming into this fight. So
yeah, but it is what it is. Ulberg, I think, I don't know, man. I mean, you'll have to definitely prove me wrong. That's all that I'll say. I
yeah,
think there's more people out there that are going to be able to, be a better man on that night. And I think Yuri and Alex are two of those guys. The current champ, Ankalaev, is probably one of them too.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, hopefully over time, light heavyweight will start being infused with new talent and things will start heating up a little bit. Over time, it always happens, but we're just in that sort of middle period right now, which is still sorting itself out.
Hell yeah.
And that will do it for UFC Fight Night, Ulberg versus Reyes. After talking it through, Chase, final thoughts.
This was one of the worst. This was so bad.
Yeah,
So bad.
I always am the guy, and as I said, I was a little cranky watching it, so I do admit that was the case. But I'm usually the one that tries to be a little bit more positive on these cards because I do love watching fights so much. But this one was just not great. Yeah, this was one of the more mid cards that we've seen in quite some time, and we've had a couple of them that have been kind of spotty, and ones where I'm like, oh, the standout performances, but not a great card overall. But this one was just like. It's like you said, no fight of the night bonus, absolutely warranted.
Well, when you go back to the last UFC card that we had too, I mean, it wasn't necessarily the biggest representation of awesome entertainment. It was just the main event that really saved it. We had a really good banger main event for two guys that really wanted to win. This one right here, bad card capped off with a fight where a dude just starches him in round one, and it's like it's somebody that we knew was susceptible to getting starched. So just I don't know, it just hurts.
Yeah. Sometimes it sucks when things go according to plan in that
Wow,
regard.
Hydra did not hate this one. I don't know how big of a hater Hydra is, but if you know me, you know I am one of the biggest, and I'm so good at it. This one sucked.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's why it's like for me to feel the same way. It's like usually got to be pretty bad for me to have that kind of an opinion. So,
Hmm.
maybe Hydra just the actual hardcore out of the three of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, that will do it for that. Let's move on to the upcoming event that everybody is very excited for here. Of course, UFC 320 is Ankalaev versus Pereira 2, the big rematch going on here. Immediate rematch. I'm not a huge fan of those, but what else was going to happen in a situation like this when you have Alex Pereira. One of the really, I'd say,
The
credentially,
greatest.
yeah, I really would, and I know a lot of people feel like it's it's hyperbolic to say that, but I really don't think that it is. If you look at his resume, if you look at the credentials that he has, I would say that as far as light heavyweight and middleweight to an extent, he is up there. So I mean, the one, the only. I mean, he got that as one of the few people that Bruce has announced as the one, the only, and there's a reason for it. So obviously he was going to get the immediate rematch if he wanted it, which he does. Magomed Ankalaev doing the work that he has been doing over and over again. Do you think anything is going to be different this time around, Chase?
I specifically think this is going to be different because, and this actually leads into what I was going to say first. Is like we got to remember, and there's a reason Alex gets the one and the only is because in today's market of superstars, Alex is the closest that we have to a global superstar in the UFC. He is the biggest name. He is the most known guy. His face is recognizable. Shama is recognizable by him.
Yes.
And why I think that is crucial to note is because going into the fight with Ankalaev, he didn't take it serious. Why would he? Why would he take it serious at all? He's on top of the world. He just walks into this league, knocks people out left and right, gets a belt, gets knocked out, comes back, gets another belt. Why would he ever take it serious at this point? All he does is party. All he does is drive around and do different types of events at different locations. No reason would he be on the top of his game. Not to mention, if you want to, he was quote unquote sick during the fight. I don't know if I believe that one too much. I think he was just taking the night off. I was like, bro, I'm going to fucking win. And if not, who cares? Like I've already completed everything in my life. And I think after, you get into the fight and he ends up losing, it's like, well, maybe this means more than I thought it did. Kind of, you don't know what the circumstances are. I think Alex, with all that context going forward, I think the fight will be different. I think game planning will be different. There's not going to be much takedowns. Ankalaev, everybody talks about, if he can get Alex down. Well, he didn't. And it stayed in the striking. Alex just did not have the striking game plan to win. And I think this time he's going to go ahead and do it. And, 25 minutes for Alex to land a single shot at Hydra. You understand the assignment, dude. All he has to do is be confident and be ready to step forward and blast this dude with a left hook. Or work in those kicks that you're so fucking good at and switch kick this dude just like you did Yuri. I mean, I know Ankalaev is walking forward and it's a lot different than Yuri walking forward, but Alex, you are really fucking good at baiting people with a body. Look, when he leads with the left body strike and he dips in, and then as soon as you think he's dipping in for a body strike and he just brings it up top for the fucking headshot. Like, I mean, it's no different puzzle than any other fight because it's just striking, Alex. You are a two-time Glory kickboxing champion, two-time UFC middleweight and light heavyweight champion. Like, you are the man. You just gotta have some confidence, dude. Like, damn.
For all of the reasons that you just listed out are why I think it is going to be exactly the same. And I'll explain. So you say about Ankalaev not taking him down. You are absolutely correct. That did not happen. But the threat was what was going on in Pereira's mind.
It's
He
gone
was
now, though.
okay. I mean, that I guess is going to be the $1 million question if that's the case. But what I saw in that is him very cautious about getting taken down. And that is not something that is going to change. I mean, as far as the caution, now you could say, oh, yeah, he can set up the shots better. Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, he certainly could let his hands go a lot more than he did in that fight for sure. I mean, but then he is going to be open for the takedown. So, you're playing the same game that you were playing the first go around. If he fights more aggressively, Ankalaev has an answer for that. If he fights with a similar cautiousness, Ankalaev gets the same outcome that he had the first time. And also, you talk about him not taking it seriously. I have seen a whole lot of Pereira and Nina drama hanging out leading up to this fight yet again. So what am I to believe is all I'm saying. Because it's like, oh, if he wasn't taking that one seriously, but he is now, except I'm seeing the same shit that I was seeing before the last fight. I'm definitely not seeing any new footage of him rolling. I'm not seeing any new footage of him with this supposed black belt that he was awarded. So like, I don't, if you are asking me what my thoughts are leading into this, then that is the thought process, is what is going to be different. I mean, you're saying that something's going to be different. We've seen in the past, he has been able to turn a game plan around in a rematch. So there is that. But I mean, I'm going off of the context clues that I've been picking up from all of this lead up. I see no differences.
I just remember watching the fight and distinctly thinking like this is not the Alex that I have watched for 5, 6 fights in a row in the last year. Something was not right. He has taken a lot of time off, in between the last fight and getting the rematch. And I would much rather put my chips in somebody who's bona fide Hall of Famer and still in a decent point in their career to get things done. He is 38, but like his physicality and the way that he maneuvers through the sport, he's fine for now. I would put my chips in that basket much more than Ankalaev, and that's just because Alex has proven it to me. It's the same thing with Diego and Jean Silva. I mean, Ankalaev has proven a lot to a lot of people, and yeah, he did beat Alex, but like I'm just gonna bank that something was up and something won't be this time.
Fair, and I would like to believe that as well. I think that the legacy that he has created for himself in the small amount of time that he's been in this sport is nothing short of legendary, and this would be a nice way to cap it off. I mean, another reason I am a little bit skeptical of it, him talking about being at the end of the road. I mean, he's very vocal about being close to the end of his career, one way or another. Saying things like, "Oh, I should have started earlier," that type of stuff at this point. Uh, I want to believe that if he goes out there and caps this off, that this could be a great way to solidify everything. One big comeback, great knockout gets him right back into the status that he earned for himself over his time in this sport and has been well deserved up until this point. I want to believe it as well. I just feel like what we have seen out of Ankalaev is somebody who, the style is not captivating. It's definitely something that is not setting the world on fire as far as excitement goes, but it is highly effective. He has used it 21 times effectively, gotten a bunch of wins and a belt from it. And it's like I'm going to need to see the Poatan of old in order to believe it. If he comes out here early in the fight and starts looking a lot different, because I agree with you too. I definitely thought that something was off. I thought it was a failure to launch type of situation in that fight. That there was just the strategy was off. The mentals weren't there. I mean, he looked like he was kind of in another world at times in that fight. So maybe he comes in locked in. Maybe he comes in focused. I want to believe too. And, maybe there's a parlay with his name on it, just off of that hope, because a plus 200 on Alex Pereira is certainly very attractive, but it's hard to buy it after what we saw in that first fight.
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree, but I'm gonna take Alex for
All
sure.
right. Yeah. I'm sadly going to take Ankalaev, just going off of what I just said, and then also the conventional wisdom that I have always held that immediate rematches very, very rarely ever go the way of the challenger, because what has changed in the amount of time. And as I said, at least off of what we're seeing publicly, I'm sure that behind the scenes there's a lot going on that we don't know about, but I'm seeing the same type of things publicly that I saw last time. So it's hard for me to think that there is a dramatic change or difference that's going to be having taken place coming into this one.
Yeah, I'm just this is gonna be a good week. That's all that I can say.
I hope so. So, all right. Well, and as always, as people, Chase and I are streaming this podcast to our individual channels currently. Go to the channel that you like the takes of better and like the channel, like the stream. So you can let us know who you think has the better opinions about these upcoming fights.
Hell yeah.
All right, moving on to the co-main event. This is, I believe, the people's main event here. I would want to say this is Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. I am very, very excited for this one.
People's main event is crazy. Also, being very excited for this is also crazy. And why I tell you is because, and I'm going to be truly brutally honest with you. This is going to be 100% the easiest win of Marab's career. I mean, I genuinely don't see how anybody sees anything different after what Umar was able to do to Corey and have him sit in his lap for fucking 25 minutes. 50-45, by the way. And then for what Sugar Sean was unable to do in the striking against Merab. I mean, Corey Sandhagen is nothing like the striker that Sean is. And Corey's just going to be a deer in the headlights. I mean, he's going to literally be standing there ready to set something up and just get taken down because he doesn't know what's happening. What I hate about Corey so much too, and I disliked it when I first saw. Actually, let me stop. I bought into it the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, I was annoyed. The fact I'm still seeing it now makes me even more annoyed. This dude talks about himself like he's the fucking smartest MMA person ever. In his YouTube videos, he's like, and I saw that, like, that spot right there, and I knew how cool that was gonna be, and I knew I could do that because, like, I'm just that high level IQ in the game. It's like, if you have to tell us how fucking smart you are, guarantee you're probably not as smart as you think you are, because that's all you have thought roaming in your brain is like, I'm that fucking good. It's like, genuinely not buying into it anymore. If you think you're Einstein, sure, Marab's just going to take you down. I don't care. If you thought you the way that you heard Robert Whitaker talk about getting past Hamzat is what I heard Corey talk about getting past Umar. I have the plan. I've been training every day for it. I'm going to be the one to break it. I'm going to be the dude that makes everybody realize that I'm so fucking smart. I know how to fucking fight in MMA. I know how to grapple. I know how to do this. I'm a fucking third degree black belt. I have all this striking. Well, you lost to Umar 50-45. I think it's fucking hilarious because we're going to see it again. It's going to be so easy. I'm just.
Well, the answer to this, though, or at least the response that I would have, is that he did have the wherewithal to get past Umar. The problem is that he is a great defensive wrestler. He is not great with his offense thereafter, at least not in that fight. I mean, like, he was able to get past a lot of what Umar was throwing at him, and that was why I was so upset with that fight, is because he was getting out of a lot of situations that Umar was putting everyone else in easily. He was able to evade them. He just didn't put any offense behind it thereafter. I mean, there was nothing following it. So
What was he
I will say,
supposed to do while he was sitting in Umar's lap? I'm just confused because that's all I remember from that matchup is Umar would grab him in the waistlock, Corey would fall back into his lap as a sort of like reverse guard pull, and he just sat there. What was he supposed to do? Was
nah, but
just
he would get back to his feet. He got out of the locks like several times in that fight. That was like, because I remember distinctly saying, "Go now, go now, go." You know, I mean, like, it's like, yes, you have done the impossible. You have gotten out of the control. Now go.
you're selling it perfectly for me right now is
Yeah, no,
because
no,
you're going to be
I'm
sitting here
yeah, I'm
watching
agreeing with you.
Corey going go go go, and Marab's just going to be
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
every time.
absolutely.
All
No,
he's going
yeah,
to be doing.
right. And that was my ultimate point, is that yes, Corey Sandhagen does have a great fight IQ. He just does not put all of the pieces together in order to make it a well-rounded performance against these guys who have a definitive game plan and utilize it very, very effectively. That's what Marab does. The fact that Corey is even in this fight is a little ridiculous to me. I mean, he's what, like, two wins and a loss,
He
two and
injures
one.
Vicky, and now he gets a fucking title shot. Like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, the strength of the resume as far as the most recent times go. I mean, I think, what is he, like, 3-2?
I don't even know, but I think this is a prime example of, when people say, like, he's used his mouth to get all the opportunities. I mean, literally, Corey Sandhagen, he's not a big trash talker, but he sells an analytical, opinion that people are like, well, maybe he does have a point. Yeah, he could be the one that's gonna fucking do what Peter Yan couldn't, what Sugar Sean can't. He's the only guy that hasn't faced Murat, but like, he literally is not proving in his performances that he deserves a title fight. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no, I agree. I mean, I think that Marab is proving time over time that he is the GOAT of this division, and this is just going to be another scalp on the pike. I don't see anything that Corey is bringing to the table that he hasn't seen before already. Yeah, Corey is very tall, he's very lanky, but he doesn't use his range very well. I mean, like, someone had asked me in one of the watch alongs, what's the method of victory for Corey Sandhagen if he is going to win this fight, and all I said was possibly the flying knee that he landed on Frankie Edgar is the only thing I can think of. Some outlandish strike that's going to be coming so far out of left field that it catches Marab off guard. But Marab is so aware; he has some of the best awareness, in there. I would say, aside from maybe when O'Malley caught him, at that one point that you referenced earlier, but. Generally, I mean, in a more general sense, Marab has a one-track mind. He is going to get his hands on you. He is going to get you to the ground. He's going to hold you down, and he's going to make you look foolish with a smile on his face. That's pretty much what we've seen out of him, and what he's continuing to be able to do against every single opponent that they put in front of him. after he beat Umar, I said I don't think that there's anybody else that he really has to worry about. I know that you think maybe that there's somebody coming up behind that might have a little bit of a better shot than Corey might, but as of right now, I'm not seeing it, and I don't see Corey Sandhagen winning this one either.
No, I'm not sold. I won't be ever again. I don't care how cool you think it is to tweet, I'm going to come and walk out to enter the Sandman, guys. I'm going to do it. Like, I genuinely don't give a shit, Corey. Like, don't give a fuck. So,
I mean, if you're trying to sell me that you're going to win a fight walking out to a Metallica song, I've got news for you, brother. There have been better fighters to do that. So, yeah, no, I think that Merab takes this fairly easily. I think that the minus 400 to his name is warranted. And yeah, like I said, I don't think that there's anybody that can beat Merab at bantamweight right now. I don't see it. I think Merab is the best, and I think he's going to continue to be the best. I think he's going to be in very similar situation to Alexandre Pantoja over there at flyweight, just clearing out a division.
I think Marab falls on the spectrum of the type of star that gets bored with being that good. Marab would be so good and continue to rack up title defenses, but then at a certain point, I mean, what's left for him? He's got to go do something else. He's a wild man. Like, he can't just be beating everybody in the UFC. I mean, I feel like he's got to be going to do more after he's just clearly the best. I don't know. So
Yeah, no, perhaps. I mean, time will tell. He's only got a couple more high-level guys in the division, really. I mean, if you think about it, he's beaten a lot of them. I mean, I think short of the Piotr Jan rematch, there's not a whole hell of a lot left for him to prove at bantamweight.
there's Malcolm Wellmaker, dude.
He's yeah. I mean, if they want to pull one of those kinds of moves and jump him up, I mean, it worked with Khalil. I really, in a legitimate point to that, honestly, because the bantamweight might be a division where jumping somebody up from way lower in the rankings is in the cards after a win like this. If Merab can pull it off, so there might be potential for something like that. Maybe that'll be more exciting and attractive to the champ. But he's got to get through Corey Sandhagen first, and we'll see about the rest thereafter. But I think that Merab, for right now, he is the man for his time and place.
100%. Hydro makes a good point. Yeah, justified weight move up. Yeah, it's definitely going to be him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants to, I also wanted to ask the question: do you think that Merab is going to try to kiss Corey Sandhagen at any time in this fight?
I don't think so because Marab actually was he took a liking to Sugar Sean. I don't know, you guys, the beef and stuff was definitely fabricated. Marab obviously didn't hate him because he had a look-alike hang out with him every single day of Sugar Sean. So he clearly was like, little buddy with him. Corey is not going to get any kisses though. Definitely
No kisses for Corey. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. A loss and no kisses.
not.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens there. Okay. If that last one wasn't the people's main event, then this certainly is. Yuri Prohashka versus Khalil Roundtree. What are you thinking in this fight, sir?
I just noticed that Khalil Roundtree is fighting right after Yusuf Zalal, which is perfect for this card. I can't wait for you guys to understand what we're going to witness right now.
Well, we'll talk about that fight when we get to it, you hater.
Yes, Yuri Prohaska is just that good. I mean, he's been in the UFC for years now. He has vacated his belt willingly to have shoulder surgery and came back better. He has only lost to Alex Bejeda in the UFC. That is 2 times. And if you don't understand what I'm telling you, that is Yuri Prohashka has only lost 2 times in the UFC's light heavyweight division. Those only being Alex Bejeda. I have nothing else to tell you guys. He's just that good. He knows how to win against the top level competition. It's the only type of competition he's ever faced. He had 6 wins in the UFC and got a belt. Think about that. He is that good. Khalil is, if he wants to be a pansy and stay on the outside, I'm still very confident Yuri's going to take the fight to him and make it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, really, you're hitting all of my points as well, because that's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, if Khalil, I know that Khalil's last fight, people had a lot of things to say. I thought that he navigated that fight completely fine.
He played chess, yeah.
Blah blah blah. We had a whole long knockdown knockdown drag out about that one. We won't have to go back there. But no, I do think that Yuri is the type of fighter who is not going to allow that type of fight to happen. He's too skilled. He's too game. He's too willing to get into the pocket with you and navigate it effectively. That's the thing that I think about Yuri that a lot of people don't give him enough credit for, is that people think that it's like all strategery with Yuri because of the style that he has. He has kind of an unorthodox style, but like he is willing to be in close range when he's doing the work that he does, and he will take shots. I mean, we've seen him wobbled pretty badly. I think Rockets wobbled him at one point.
Oh, he's been wobbled
Yeah,
plenty of
I'm saying
times.
plenty of times. So it's like, he is a very savvy navigator of close range, and I think that Khalil is going to have a problem with what Yuri brings to the table. I think he's going to be too much of a puzzle, and Khalil's kind of flat Muay Thai style is going to play right into Yuri's hands, unless, and this is the big unless, is if Khalil Roundtree can throw those leg kicks out there very effectively early. Because I mean, that's the one thing that Yuri does not do, he does not check kicks.
Yeah, but and then that goes to the point that I wanted to bring up is Yuri's style is just it's completely the X factor. You will never be able to gauge what he's capable of doing on any given performance. And you want to talk about leg kicks. Yuri, because he has the X factor, somebody like a Nate Diaz is another good example. It's like these dudes don't fucking check leg kicks. They don't care. They're gonna walk forward no matter what. I've never seen them get finished by leg kicks, and some people just don't. Some people are just truly chat. Yeah, Yuri's legs fucking hurt. That doesn't mean he's not just gonna fall on you when his legs don't stop working. Like I don't know. I think Yuri is just. He's proven to me that he's just that fucking guy. I mean, Hydra said it best. Yuri is that guy that I would willingly put money on. Like Khalil proved to me last fight that I wouldn't willingly put money that performance would happen again. Like that wouldn't win me anything. So I don't know. I think Yuri's gonna go out here and show some real shit.
Your recency bias is astounding for this, considering that
Okay,
this
he
is the
knocked out Anthony Smith, dude. It's not the craziest thing ever.
he went to a knockdown drag out with Pereira. I mean, that was one of the best Pereira fights that there has been.
with Pereira blowing his nose and coughing from illness in the corner.
How many times is this guy going to be sick in his fight?
I know, but at least with that one, I would admit you watched him blowing his nose and coughing. Ankalaev, I have no actual proof if he was sick or not. I'm just saying he did look off. So
Well, whatever the case may be. My point is, though, is that Khalil Roundtree, when you put him in an uncomfortable situation, which Jamal Hill did not, that he rises to the occasion. So that's why I'm very excited about this fight as well. I think Yuri is going to make this one a little bit grimier, not necessarily like clinching wise, but I think that the striking is going to be tit for tat in a heavy way. I'm not saying that they're going to be pitter patter shots or anything. I think that they're going to be trading shots, and it's really going to be about who can navigate that more strategically. So if you thought that it was a chess match and a poor one with Jamal Hill, I think this is going to be a chess match on steroids.
no fucking chance. No chess with Yuri. I mean, I know he got his master's degree and all that, but this dude throws all of the chips out the table. As soon as the fight starts, you go and you're like, oh, he got his hands up. And then he checks one leg, like, oh, he's checking the legs. Then just literally after he gets punched in the face, he's like, fuck it, what am I doing? I'm Yuri Prohaska. Like, I fight like an idiot. Like I'm a caveman. Like I don't use technique. Like
See,
and I
this is what
think
I'm trying to say, though. You're making my point right here. I think a lot of people they view this unorthodox style as that. I'm saying that I think that there is more under the surface with Yuri.
and Tony Ferguson probably thinks that about those stupid training videos that he posts, but it is what it is.
You're putting no stock into sitting in a cabin for 6 days in the dark.
There we go. Hydra actually said it. It's a sleep deprivation or a sensory deprivation shed. It's not just a cabin. There's a specific use to it, and he does it for 3 days. So I don't know. I think Yuri is actually just. I don't know, bro. He's a 4D chess is not really what I would say it as because I'm telling you, there's no thought processes going on there. It's all instinct, and I think that's genuinely the best way to like, when you're fighting. I mean, it's all just got to be locked in. You got to be dialed in to make all those key reads. If you want to call it chess, sure. I mean, it's instinct and I don't know. Yuri's just one of the best at it.
All right. Well, I mean, then I guess Khalil's going to have to have that same animal instinct. And as I said, I think that he showed that in the Pereira fight. I think that you have to draw it out of him. He's not going to go out there and do it just on his own. He's not going to put himself in unnecessarily dangerous situations, which is is what we saw. So Yuri's going to have to be the one to initiate the aggression, and he'll have to follow suit. So
I,
let
I
Khalil
I'm
rise to the occasion. You're off of one fight. Your entire
no,
worldview is shaped
no.
off of one fight, one
Mm,
performance.
it's not just me either. It's you two. It's because you're sitting here and you're like, Yuri's gonna have to bring this fight to him because Khalil's not gonna do it, man. He's just gonna sit there. He's just gonna be measured. He's gonna be weathered. That's me and you basing it off of the last performance of what we saw, and that's fucking horrible. If you're telling me that Yuri has to put him over,
I'm basing it off of the Pereira fight, the man that you think is going to regain the title, if you recall. He that was the most competitive that Pereira has been in his run. You know what I'm saying? That there was
I mean, he
nobody
got
else to
finished
talk.
by Izzy, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
No, yeah. I mean, on and at light heavyweight. I mean, like he's everything else at light heavyweight has been him setting up.
Arguably lost to Jan Blachowicz, but I mean, we'll
Yeah, well,
continue
okay,
this.
yeah,
Continue.
fair. Well, so okay, but I mean that different style of fight though. It wasn't Khalil Roundtree wasn't on his back.
Didn't finish Bruno Silva either, but I will digress with this. I just don't believe putting all the stock into somebody who you will arguably say is somebody that's not going to bring the fight to his opponent. Why would I ever care about that fighter if he's not going to go in there and bring the fucking fight? Like, eh,
He rises to the occasion.
he needs Yuri to put him over. Is all that I'm hearing. He's only going to be as good as his opponent. So when he starts fighting cans again, when he falls downhill, don't say that he's. No, I don't know, bro. I just don't see it anymore. When he
Ah,
was finishing Anthony Smith and he's standing over him ready to drop a hammer fist, it's like, nice. Show that fucking dude, Anthony Smith. Of course you're gonna fucking finish him. I mean, of course he has confidence that he'd finish that guy. Now when Yuri's standing across him, when Jamal Hill is standing across him, and he has all the thought in the world to take 25 minutes to dance around him. I, I just genuinely, I'm just not gonna. That's not gonna be somebody that I would put stock into.
all right. Well, we'll
And
see.
speaking of
Yes.
this next one,
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. So I am also going with Yuri Prosh. Go
okay,
ahead.
good.
All right. Yes. Now, both of your haterisms in these fights, if on full display here. This is a back to back with this. So this is Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Zalal, and unkind things to say about my boy Yusuf Zalal as well. So you think that Josh Emmett is going to be able to find the shot on him? Is that what's going to happen, or you think that Yusuf Zalal is going to expertly navigate on the outside and stay out of the way of the power shots of Josh Emmett?
No, this fight brings me no joy. I mean, I genuinely couldn't have picked two dudes that I hate the way they fight more. Yusuf Zalal, yeah, he's going to stand on the outside and do his little thing because he's going to be obviously afraid of the dude who has the most knockdowns in featherweight history, Josh Emmett, whatever the case may be. Josh Emmett has a game plan where he's going to walk straight in a line, throw a right overhand, and miss 400 times. That's going to be this fight. I have nothing else to say. I literally, and I'm telling you this, I will put money on if there was a non-fight of the night award, like the worst fight of the night. I'm telling you, and I'm confidently telling you this because I want you to remember when you come back to this and you're like, I really expected a lot more out of him. Like you're not gonna get it. This is going to be a no finish fight. They're gonna land a total of 102 strikes combined and whiff 70 of them. They're not gonna throw a lot either. It's not gonna be them throwing a bunch of punches and missing. No, they're both gonna stand too measured and too calculated and too worried about each other that they're not gonna fucking throw punches. Josh Emmett, a little less on the scale of being worried about Yusuf Zalal because this dude's fucking harmless. Josh Emmett is just also a caveman who just throws an overhand right. What's funny about that is against Lerone Murphy, I perfectly predicted it as well. It's like this dude only spams overhands. He does nothing else. He has one move that has knocked down so many idiots in the division before that's what he thinks is going to win him the fight at age 40. He hasn't adopted a new game plan that's going to actually suffice 3 rounds. He doesn't actually work on the fucking skills that are going to make him win fights. I guarantee you're going to watch him walk and walk and walk in a straight line towards Yusuf Zalal while he's doing this. and we're never going to see any fucking connection on the punches. It's going to be horrible. Oh my goodness.
Well, that's a whole long rant to say that Yusuf Salal is going to be aware of that and get his back and submit him. That is
Hmm.
what I am going to say is happening here. I think that you are, again, your recency bias is ridiculous. I think that Yusuf Salal has shown an amazing acumen in the fights previous to the one that you're basing all of this on in Calvin Cater. I think that this dude has a great submission game, and also that he is more game than you're giving him credit for. He was evading a power striker. Josh Emmett, of course, a power striker as well, so there is
Hmm.
going to be some evasion. But I'm saying that you're the game planning for exactly what you just described is exactly why he'll be able to get his back. I mean, and this dude backpacks very quickly. I mean, Yusuf Zalal has a game plan of getting under the shot and then swinging around to the back. And Josh Emmett is not going to be quick enough for that. He does not have the footwork to keep up with Zalal.
He
So
didn't do
Zalal,
that against Calvin Cater, and that dude has worse takedown defense than Josh Emmett. So I'm just confused on where you think the confidence is coming from. That Yusuf Zalal is now going to start again. He's going to get back to finishing competition that is at his level because Calvin Cater steps up. This is a dude who's been fucking beat 4 times in a fucking row, and you have some sort of resilience to fighting him like a fucking man. Like,
he did that
and
for one round. He was winning the first 2 rounds. That was the third round. That you're basing it all on the third round.
mate, I first it's recency bias based on the fight. Now you're telling me it's recency bias based on the third round. You're gonna tell me that I watched 1 round of Yusuf Zalal running and I've based my entire. I mean,
That's what you're telling me. What do you want from you? All
mate,
of the fights before that. Go down Yusuf Zalal's record since he came back to the
it
UFC.
listen. I could give a shit less about what he's done before because the fact that Calvin Cater is the name that stepped up to the plate and he was terrified to fight him. It's the same thing with Khalil and Jamal. When Jamal Hill stepped up to the plate, Jamal freaking Hill, guys. This dude was terrified to finish him. I know he dropped him like 4 times and kicked his legs out from under him, but why didn't you finish him? If you were so confident that you could and you were so close to doing it, Yusuf Zalal obviously wasn't even close to doing it with Calvin Cater, but if you could, if you could do it before, and you have people like Thinker out there right now who are putting so much stock that you're going to get back to this vintage performance and finish the competition that you did when you got back into the UFC, you're just wrong. He's not going. Listen, I put money again, more bets being placed on Yusuf Zalal's name that there is not going to be another finish in this dude's top 15 ranked career. I'm telling you, he's not that guy. He's just not. I mean, when he doesn't get Emmett down, okay, he's going back to his strike. He's going back to it. He's doing this shit. And it's honestly so fucking annoying to see. Because, and you talk about how game this dude is. Neil Magny is somebody that I would classify as game. Yusuf Zalal. I mean, the last time I seen him fight was a year ago, and he pranced around the ring for 25 minutes. 15 minutes. I'm sorry. It was a 3 rounder. This dude here is not fucking game. I mean, maybe we have 2 different definitions. If you think fighting Josh Emmett makes you game, I got different definitions for you.
Well, I mean, I think that he navigates a fight effectively. I think he does what he needs to do to win. Obviously, he was winning that fight against Calvin Cater, or he wouldn't have gotten away with what he was doing. Again, and as I've always said, it is the impetus on the other person to go and get you. If you think that your opponent is running, and I mean, like, and also, so let's say it like that. If running is such a sound strategy that'll just win you the fight automatically, how did Sean Strickland beat Paulo Costa? He was running the entire fight. I've never seen more outside strafing than that fight.
You know,
Sean
Paulo
Strickland,
Costa won one of the scorecards, right? It was a split decision.
whatever he wins. That was a bullshit decision. I mean,
Oh,
come on,
well, I mean,
regard that's
but
ridiculous.
he navigated it perfectly. According to that judge, he did everything perfect. He navigated Strickland so well. He stayed on the outside. He didn't let Strickland jab, teep, jab, teep. He did everything. The only round he didn't win was the 5th round because Strickland kicked him in the face in the last second. How did Paulo Costa come up with this amazing game plan that 2 other judges did not agree with? I couldn't tell you why he lost that fight, honestly. The one judge saw him playing 4D chess, and the other 2 actually had brains. I'm just that's what I'm seeing it as
Well,
because
so the point is then that he took the fight to him enough to get the win. So that's what I'm saying. There has to be something for these judges to score.
I don't know, bro.
He's
I
winning
mean,
fights, man.
okay. So if from what you said earlier was me basing the third round of a Yusuf Zalal recent fight, so you're telling me those first two rounds, Calvin Kattar did a great job taking the fight to him because Yusuf Zalal was able to play off of the greatest strength of his opponent when he was able to actually bring the fight to him. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, better than the third. He was gassed by the third.
I will murder somebody. This is crazy. All right,
I'm dude.
chat, you see it. You see it, chat. You chat, I want you to believe that you are witnessing what happens when you ask somebody when a fighter is running away the entire time, how could they win the fight? And they will tell you that's just how it is. I don't know, man. I just
Floyd Mayweather is an undefeated boxer who has that exact style and has done everything that he needs to do to get his wins with exactly what you're talking about right now. Get out of the way of getting hit, hit when you can. That's all you got to do.
And there's
That's
a
how you win
reason that
fights.
nobody's watching boxing, mate, is because Floyd Mayweather didn't move the fucking needle enough for people to say boxing is gonna carry on greatness past this. People are gonna watch Floyd Mayweather and they're gonna sell out fucking arenas with this fucking style. Like, no, it just doesn't fucking happen. Like, and even people who watch boxing, like, bro, Floyd Mayweather, sure, you cannot get touched all you want, but like, bro, this is MMA and we're entertaining here. I would much rather watch two people in MMA
And there's
decisively strike
so just
rather
call it what
than
it is
one
then.
person.
Then you just nailed it, bro. Just call it what it is. You don't like it. It doesn't
I
matter that that's you're
you
entitled to your
just
opinion. You just
listen.
don't like the style. It's fine that you don't like it, but don't try to
Everybody
make
in
it
the
like it just
chat, everybody in the chat, please confirm that Thinker just compared Yusuf Zalal to Floyd fucking Mayweather.
I, I stand by it. I stand by it. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, and same with Khalil versus Jamal. When you don't, if your opponent is not engaging, you don't need to. It is not your, as I've always said about this, it is not your job to get yourself into situations that can get you harmed. If you are winning the fight, you're winning the fight. Do what you need to do to win the fight. You might not like it as the fan, but we see that same thing with the fucking with Pitbull and Dan Ige. You know, you winning the fight. Yeah. Did we like it? No. It is what it is, bro. You do what you need to do to win the fight. What is going to get you the victory? You can be
Yikes.
and you can be salty about it.
I that's just yikes, man. That's just really yikes that you would prefer to argue that
I never
Yusuf
said I
Zalal is
prefer it.
enter.
I'd say I understand why he wins.
I,
I
I
get and why he's going to win this one. I think he's going to go out there
no,
and get
no.
his back and take him
That's
down and
no,
submit
no,
him.
no. What I'm not understanding, it's not about how he wins. No, I mean he won. I mean he won. I mean Calvin Kattar did not touch him because he did not want to get touched by him. Sure, he won the fight. Sure, I'll give you that one. What does it win my experience? Does it win my fandom? Does it win me wanting to watch this dude more? No. Why would he be on the main event of this card? I mean, that's just I mean, and why does he win an opinion like yours to say things like this about him? I genuinely just don't fucking get it because it, I just don't
He's in
know,
the because
man. I just don't know.
he's in the same camp as Bilal,
As
and we are.
Floyd fucking Mayweather,
I mean, that's a different story. But I mean, like but my point is when it comes to MMA is that yeah, you have to work a little bit harder. You have to get more wins. Because yeah, your style is not going to be as fan friendly. But like Bilal did it. Bilal made it work. No, bro, Bilal was the most memed fighter of all time. Had to work doubly hard to get himself to where he did. And what did he do? He went out, continued to get wins, got himself a belt. So that's what I'm saying, man. You can love it, hate it, feel however you want to feel about it. If he's getting the wins, again, it is not his job to put his face in front of his opponent's fist. Get your hits, get out of the way of getting hit, and win the fight. That's what you got to do. And fans like you can be angry about it all the way to his belt.
his belt. I'm cute. All right, I remember.
Carlos Ulberg is doing the
Listen,
same fucking thing.
listen. eh, He stood his ground. Listen, we said the same thing about Lerone. You asked me why I liked Lerone and I didn't like Zalal. Exhibit A, he did a spinning elbow and cracked the fuck out of his opponent who walked in like an idiot. What is going to happen when Josh Emmett walks in like an idiot on Yusuf Zalal? He's not going to stand his base and knock this dude out. He's just not. Lerone Murphy at least dropped him too, I'm pretty sure. So, this is something. These are two different leagues that we're talking about. When you talk about evasive fighters or people who actually will set up the trap, Yusuf Zalal never set up a trap. He never was once willing to engage with the trap. I just, I don't know, bro. You got to be willing to give one and take one in this sport, and that's how you build fans, and that's how you win fights convincingly. And Yusuf Zalal, you had a 3 round fight with Calvin Cater, and I couldn't tell you that you landed a single strike that mattered. That's the problem with this fight style. That's the problem. So
Well, then this will be the prime opportunity for Zalal to come in here and put all of this conversation to rest. So I want to see Zalal go out there, get this lovely submission. I'm going to see him backpacking Josh Emmett. He's going to standing rear naked choke him,
dude,
and this is going to be put to rest. And then I'm going to hear a whole bunch of backtracking from you, and there's still going to be some haterism in there because you just don't like the guy, and that's fine too, brother. It's okay.
one, I will never fucking backtrack anything that I say about this dude. Two, when you find the fucking genie bottle that gives you the wish of Yusuf Zalal making an impressive performance, I want the other two wishes to be cancer free and world fucking hunger to be done. Because this dude is genuinely never again. I'm telling you, I cannot wait to stand on this because if he finishes Josh Emmett, I will never jump on the side of Yusuf Zalal. I will continue to hate him forever, but I will accept that he did what I said he was never going to do. But I'm going to tell you he is never going to right now, from this point on, up until the top of the division, if he even makes it further past Josh Emmett, he's not going to finish any of them. He's not going to get a single finish. And you know what a performance that is that doesn't get a finish from Zalal? Go back to Calvin Cater. It's exactly what that is. You are blinded by the fact that he's finished fucking bums in his career. Like bums where he had UFC experience already, went out, got more experience, came back, and then finished people who were on their first stint in the UFC who then retire from the sport at age 29. That doesn't make me think this dude's a fucking champ soon, especially when the first type of person that is a dog that'll actually fight him comes up and he evades the dog fight. It's just not going to get my opinion changed. This dude's just not a fucking game fighter like I would say people are.
All right. Well, then everybody keep the conversation in mind when we
Clip
are
it, chat.
on the show. Yeah, exactly. Clip it, Chad. We'll be back, and I want to hear the outcome of all of this when Yusuf Salal it forces you to change your mind. Your mind will be changed one way or another, but I'm going Yusuf Salal in this fight by submission. Clip it. All right. Moving on to the rest of this thing here. Abus Magomedov versus Joey Pfeiffer. Why Joe Pfeiffer is back immediately. Not immediately, but quick enough since his loss is no, he won that fight against
Kelvin.
Kelvin Gastelum. But I mean, either way, I don't think that anybody was clamoring for another Joe Pfeiffer fight. What are you thinking here?
Joe Pfeiffer is the way that he fought Kelvin Gastelum after he just fucking knocks him down anytime he wanted and then just decided not to punch anymore for the rest of the fight didn't give me great confidence that he was some sort of fucking killer like we thought he was. I mean, it's Kelvin Gastelum. I mean, mate, he hasn't been finished, but like, dude, you had the opportunity. You knocked him down and you could have just pounced, but whatever. Anyway, decent performance, was very boring. Anyway, Abus Magomedov, somebody who is clearly chinny as shit still. He gets chinned almost every fight that he's in. Bruno Fajeda is another good example. Sean Strickland obviously finished him, which is a fucking pillow-fisted man. Joe Pfeiffer has the ability to walk in here and just flatline Abus in the first round. I don't think it's more complicated than that. I think it's the easiest thing for him to do. Set up a combination 1-2, just blast a hook. I don't care. Abus is not somebody that is going to dodge it or, make some crazy read off of it. He's just going to try to eat it with his chin high and figure it out from there. Joe Pfeiffer, great wrestling in his backpack kind of deal. Like he's able to have it when it's necessary, but he doesn't utilize it unless his fucking striking is dog water. And that's the fucking worst part is that Abus is going to make his striking look decent. So Joe Pfeiffer's not going to have to wrestle, but Abus, if he gets rocked, he's going to shoot and then probably not going to get a takedown. I think this is probably the worst for Abus out of all the matchups that he's had recently that I was confident he would win. I don't think this is it. No, he's going to get finished by Pfeiffer, I think.
Yeah, I think that I'm in the same camp on this one. I mean, Abus is just a dude who like again, there are like strengths there, but they've never been like stronger than the better man in the evening kind of thing. And I just feel like a lot of the times he's just not that. So it's like he's one of those guys that like he's like a high middle to me, like he will get a win here and there. He will continue to be middle of the road, middle of the pack, but Joey Pfeiffer's probably got a little bit more on him in this matchup specifically, and the striking's definitely going to be better on Pfeiffer's side. So unless Abus is going straight for the double legs and just blasting and really getting him to the ground, like really committing all that he has to keeping him on the ground, I don't see that being the case. And if that's not the case, then I think that Pfeiffer will probably be able to piece him up.
What I think is key to note is that Abus Magomedov. Now, when I speak of game fighters, I obviously am talking about real killers here. Abus Magomedov is somebody who I would classify as game. He puts himself, knowing he is chinny as hell, knowing that anybody with the slightest amount of power is going to knock him. He is still taking steps and taking competition steps upwards when it comes to devastating strikers. Sean Strickland is a great striker, but he ain't no devastator when it comes to the power. Volume, yes. The fact you get finished by him, that's like the lowest of the low right there. Then you come back and, Bruno Fajeda almost takes your fucking head off and then you submit him. That's a pretty fucking powerful striker right there too, who knocks a lot of people out. Then now you come in here and you got Joe Pfeiffer across from you, arguably the hardest hitter in the UFC history. Francis Ngannou has nothing on him according to this fucking machine. So what I would just like to say is Abus, he has the confidence that he wants to be the best. I'm going to be the best. I can do it. I know that I can beat the people that are threatening to me. And I think that is what's really key when it comes to a lot of fighters is who are they saying yes to fight against? Is it going to be the first scary option that Dana White offers him? Like, you can have Joe Pfeiffer, and if he takes it, good to go. If we're waiting 3 names down the list, and you're in your question, you're like, why is Abus fighting such and such? Then he's not fucking about it. But the fact that Joe Pfeiffer is a big name, when it obviously had to come straight on the desk, and Abus had to sign, I think experience is going to be a very key thing for Abus. If he's able to just not get caught in the first round, Joe Pfeiffer, well, these dudes are both going to gas out. I mean, this is going to, if it goes past the first round, I mean, these dudes are going to be slugging it. And I think, 35 for Abus. This one's a hard one to tell, but I do like Abus, and I feel like I've rode for him for a lot of crucial moments, and I've won some money off of him. So maybe I should be confident in him again. But I think Joe Pfeiffer might just have that. He just might be better enough to do it. I don't know.
I mean, that's all that I'm really putting it down to is just I think that Pfeiffer, the striking will be the deciding factor here, and it's really going to come down to if Magomedov wants to take it to the ground early. If there's success in the clinch and he can wear him down that way, then maybe there's some later success that could be possible. But I don't think that there's much submission threat in this fight specifically. I mean, Pfeiffer.
Oh, whoa. I mean, comparatively to each other, I don't think they're going to get subs, but individually, I mean, Joe Pfeiffer's got a sub on the Contender Series. Abus just subbed Bruno Fajeda 2 fights ago, so,
Yes, sub on the Contender Series doesn't really say too much to me, and sub over Bruno Fajeda, that speaks a little bit more. I mean, Magomedov does have submission potential in general. I just don't think in this fight specifically he's going to, unless he initiates that as his game plan specifically.
What I think is key when it comes to the grappling, I don't think we're going to see it, but if we do, Abus with his new style, he leads with the striking, and then when you're tired, that's when he starts using his grappling, and he's really good at this, specifically floating on top position. When he's able to get somebody in the position where they're on their back and they're flipping to their stomach, and he's threatening the choke, he's able to stay very with a strong base on his feet so he can land some good ground and pound. And I think if Joe Pfeiffer gets to the ground, Abus should be able to float over top of him in most of the grappling sequences when we get them. And I think it'll just gas Joe Pfeiffer out even more. I mean, he's just too big for the weight class. He always seems to slow down. He's a front runner type of dude. If he doesn't get the first round finish, I mean, guarantee he's not winning the next 2 rounds unless it's Kelvin Gastelum being terrible. So
Yeah, I mean it's possible. It's really just a matter of, like I said, I think that Magomedov needs to have that as a solid game plan, as opposed to using it as the second option.
Mhm.
You know, if that's how he wants to go, if he's like, okay, you know, I don't want to stand with this guy, so I need to make sure that I get him to the ground. You know, pick him single leg on the cage. That's a fine option if he can initiate that early, tire him out a little bit, maybe get him sweaty. That would be a good idea as well. There are options for him on the ground. It's just he has to have that as a definitive modus operandi as opposed to a back pocket thing to me.
I think Abus, and I've sold myself now. I think Abus is going to be one of these people that Vegas dangles free money in front of you for. Abus, he's going to be counted out every time he comes to fight. He's going to be the dog because Strickland finished him. Because Sean Strickland finished him, nobody's ever going to respect him. Nobody's ever going to put money on him. Probably got something to do with him being, representative of Germany. No, not many people want to be caught betting on the German guy. Whatever you want to say. I don't know. This guy here, another good dog. I think he's got the Meli Costa syndrome, where Vegas just wants him to be free money for people who pay attention. And Abus has the possibility to upset here, and I think I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, that's fine. I think that if Pfeiffer was able to get a knockdown on Kelvin Gastelum, who has one of the best chins in the game, sad to say, with all of his other issues aside, he is, indestructible chin. I think that as soon as Pfeiffer is able to land a power shot on him, then the course of action is going to change dramatically. So that's why I'm saying, like, if Magomedov starts off with the sole intention of making this a ground fight, then yeah, there is potential down there. He's just going to have to make sure that he makes that happen effectively early. If not, if it's a last resort or a secondary option for him, Pfeiffer is going to be able to pull away with that, and he's got power in his hands, as you said. I mean, I think that there's a lot of potential for that chin to get rocked.
If you go back 2 fights for Joe Pfeiffer, maybe 3, he had a 5-round main event against Jack Hermanson and lost. I think Jack Hermanson is pretty similar skill set to what Abus potentially could have. I mean, he's got striking, he's got grappling, he's got a mixed bag of things. At this point in his career, what do we know of Abus's main? What is his main attribute? Is he going to come out here and try to strike with Joe Pfeiffer, or is he actually going to rely on his grappling more? His name is Magomedov, man. It's kind of there, If he starts
Yeah.
grappling 100% of the time, who's going to blame him?
Oh
So,
yeah, no, I wouldn't be mad at it. I think that is where the win lies in this fight. Don't make it a firefight. If he comes out and does that, then I think that Magomedov can take this win. I just every round starts on the feet, so for that, with the power that Pfeiffer has in the hands, I'm thinking that he's going to land the shot. So it's really, I mean, that's it's pick your choose your own path on that in that regard, in my opinion, because it's like, yeah, the potential is definitely there for him to make this a very clinch, very grapple heavy fight. And if
yeah,
he wants to do that, then by all means, this would be one that he certainly can take.
100%.
All right. And
I
into some much more fun things here. Teba Gautier versus Ozzy Diaz. Good Lord, this is a
So
slaughter waiting
you
to happen.
obviously didn't hear. This fight is off.
Oh, is it? Oh, they left it on here. That sucks.
Yeah, just a couple hours ago, Ozzy Diaz pulled out. What I think is really funny about him pulling out and Ateba Gutierrez needing a replacement or whatever is like they didn't just scrap it. It's like, no, we're looking. Don't worry, guy. We're gonna find something for him to fight. I mean, it,
Right.
it could be an alligator. I don't care. Get him in there to fight something because the fans are here for Gutierrez. And Ozzy Diaz pulling out, little uncharacteristic for somebody who I think is, listen, talk about game fighters. This dude's a little game, but because he gets his ass whooped and he's okay with that. But him pulling out, kind of sucks. Where's Torres Finney when you need him? I don't know, bro. This one pulling out, we'll see if they figure it out, but I don't think they will.
I might have missed it. You said that there was a reason, or they didn't give a reason.
Just sick or
Yeah, okay.
you
It's one of
know.
those kinds of deals. All right. Well, I do hope that they rebook somebody for a Teba Gautier because I mean, this guy is a natural killer for real, and I would have loved to have seen him take Ozzy Diaz's head off, but
All right, maybe Junior Taffa's feeling a little better.
and there you go. That'd be a fine option. Yeah, there's probably. I mean, middleweight. There's plenty of options. So hopefully somebody steps up. Maybe it is Torres Finney. That would be
There
crazy.
we go. Yeah,
But
true.
yeah. All right. Unfortunate there. I guess we got to move on then. Hopefully they rebook Gautier.
Facts.
All right, Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Muniz. Hey, good lord. All right, what do you think?
Shabazian is this dude that gets a lot of knockouts in the first round for some reason. I'm pretty sure, right? That's this guy.
Yeah, he also has pretty good ground game as well. But I
Okay.
mean, he's kind of like one of those dudes that like has a little bit of each, but it only comes out selectively, or he loses in emphatic fashion.
Yeah, Andre Muniz. I mean, who cares, honestly, dude? I'm just Edmund. Go ahead and finish him in the first round. Let's go ahead and get it done. You're 27 too. I mean, the fact that you're not on the radar more for me, something's up. Something's not clicking for me to like actually remember who you are. Like I see your name and I'm like, oh, it's just that guy. Something's up there. So hopefully you clear it up this fight. And I'm like, well, there he is. There he just finished the fucking old man. Good job.
Nah, NPC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Shabazian takes this one pretty handily. I would suspect for that exact reason. I
Hmm.
think Muniz is about as middle of the road as they come, and Shabazian is one step above that. But Shabazian has had his own problems, so this would be a nice way for Muniz to make a more of a stamp than the 24 wins would lead one to believe.
Oh yeah.
All right, excuse me, Chris Gutierrez versus Farid Basharat, one of the Basharat brothers. He is the undefeated Basharat brother. What are you thinking here?
I think that I misspoke earlier when I was talking about Josh Emmett and Yusuf Zalal getting the non-fight of the night award. I'm pretty confident that it's going to be this one. Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be either Gutierrez leg kicks Farid to a boring decision, or Farid actually goes out there and chases the sub. I mean, Farid has been, he's got some subs to his name now.
Why the fuck is Chris Gutierrez going down to bantamweight? It wasn't. What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Oh, was he fighting light before or featherweight rather?
Yeah, he was featherweight before. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I don't know. I mean, new challenges perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the weight says 46, and I feel like 45 is what I remember, but I could be wrong. But either way, this fight, Basharat, bro. I mean, these are another set of brothers that have a lot of hype from the region that they're shoving the idea down our throat that they're all going to be really, really good. The Bonfim brothers are another example. They're not very good. Basharat bros. I've seen the other one get knocked out like just recently by Ricky Simone. So this one, not sold on him very much.
I mean, generally when it comes to siblings in the sport, there's always one that is the standout of the two. So I want to believe that if Farid is the standout brother, then maybe he brings this fight a little bit more to Gutierrez than other people who allow Gutierrez just to kick his way to victory will do. This is the exact type of fight where, you have a definitive game plan from one person and all you need to do is get around that. So fucking, I hope that he watched tape. That's all that I
Mhm.
can say about it. Good Lord, dude. I mean, there's nobody who telegraphs their style more than Chris Gutierrez. So go in there and negate his style. That's all that he has to do to make this an effective win. I mean, Gutierrez, I guess if he is dropping down, maybe there's some power there that could be a problem for Farid, but if that's going to be all even and not the case as far as if we're talking straight all across the board as far as stats go, then I think that Farid just needs to get around the kicks. I mean, that's all you got to do.
Yeah, I don't care what way you're gonna beat Chris Gutierrez, but I would really hope you do because if you are some stud, if you are touted to be some stud eventually, Chris Gutierrez is not a hard task. So
Yeah, I mean that's exactly it. I mean this is the exact type of fight that you need to be able to win in order to ascend to any kind of next level in this sport for sure.
hell yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna put some faith in Farid to be able to do that. All right, Daniel Santos versus Jusang Yu. This is not Jiu-Jitsu. This is the other Yu.
This is the guy that just got no Jekka Saraga. Yeah, okay. This is fuck, what was his name? I'm trying to think. There was a cool nickname he had. I probably just saw it when I clicked
Was
this
it
fucking
the Korean Mike Tyson?
not Korean Tyson. I'm trying to think. They don't even have his fucking name on here, but he was something else. But he was He was a good one. This dude's actually pretty good. I mean, Daniel Santos is probably just going to get mopped. Underdog for Jusang Yu actually is cooking. I kind of like that because this is a guy we don't really know too much about him. In terms of like what he can do in the cage, but I do know that he can flatline somebody. So that's all I need to know. If it's just some random Brazilian clone, I mean, they get knocked out any other day of the week. I might as well get to see one right here. So I'll take Mr. Yu from Korea.
Yeah, I like it. I like it as well. Santos, and kind of middle of the road talent as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there have been some standout moments. I want to say I'm trying to like think of them off the top of my head, and it's not.
Korean Zombie Junior. There it is. Yes.
Got you, got
Yes, his
you. Okay.
coach is Korean Zombie.
Thank you very much, Hydra. Yeah, so he was the one. Yeah, I remember that because when he got his last win, he was given all the praise to the zombie, and I was like, yes, good deal. Yeah, well, that's a fine pedigree to have, and a good person to be learning your craft from. So
I actually think at the time we talked about it, living up to want to be the next Korean Zombie. I mean, you should probably reach for a little higher, but it is what it is. So he'll
yeah,
probably be pretty good.
as far as Korea goes, though, I mean that is like legendary status over
True.
there.
True.
So
Fair.
and really one of the greatest representatives of that country in this sport. So, yeah, he could certainly surpass that going forward, but a fine starting point, I guess you could say.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, so I think that this, yeah, I'm struggling to understand why he is the underdog in this fight.
UFC experience, but
Mm,
we know it doesn't matter unless your name is Neil Magny. So
there you go, bingo. So yeah, Jusang Yu, I think that is a nice underdog pick right there.
hell yeah.
All right, down into the early prelims, doing my girl Macy Chase on dirty. Macy Chase on versus Yana Santos. I mean, Yana's been around for a very long time. Comes from a fighting family, so to speak, with her husband being Tiago Santos. Both of them, I believe, have had not her, but Tiago has had his problems with the juice in the past. So there was some speculation that might have cross contaminated into the spousal situation. Macy Chase on is somebody who I was very high on for a time, and I think it is very unfortunate that she has backslid here. To be on the early prelims is a little bit of a dirty move, but she's going up against Gianna Santos, who's a veteran, but also still a pretty goddamn good one.
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking for this fight. I don't know if you remember the conversation about what we had with Macy Chason's last fight. I said it definitely appeared to me something was off. She was injured. She got finished real early. It just didn't look like she was there. It didn't look like Macy Chasson that I have seen before. And and I think I was right. I think her being injured and still continuing on with the fight. I think that is what has happened because there was another big pullout on that card. So it was like a I'm saving the show at this point kind of deal. And I feel like she felt obligated for that because the UFC normally takes care of their fighters who do stuff like that. And here we are. I think this is the perfect example. She gets a fight on the prelims of a pay per view. It's on a pay per view. Who cares? You get a fighter who's on a win streak, who's actually looking pretty good, that you'll get some pretty good stock beating, and it'll keep you in the rankings, keep your name relevant. Yana Santos is somebody who, when I first saw her fight, I said, wow, this prospect is going to be fucking good. But then I realized she's fucking old, so she's on her way out. I mean, it just has to happen. Meishi Saison, still 34, not necessarily, a spring chicken to fucking Yana Santos, but in the midst of a middling career rather than the exiting of a career, in my opinion. So I think Macy, I mean, she played her cards right by taking her last fight injured, in my opinion, and I think it's paying off for her. Oh, did we just lose connection? Everybody who's still here listening, Thinker is frozen right now. I think I'm reconnecting or something's happening. But if you didn't know, Yana Santos is decent. Macy Chase on probably gonna win the fucking fight, and that's just my opinion. Hydra, you're still commenting, so maybe I'm still live. Maybe this is Thinker having these issues. Either way, we can continue on. So, going down to the fight below that, I know I'm not going to be able to update it on the screen, guys. Don't be mad. Below that, we have Patchy Mix and Jakob. I've got Chase No Thinker. Okay, Hydra, thank you. Thank you for letting me know that it's not my internet because it would make me crash out right now. It would make me crash the fuck out. I think the chat just like refreshed. Something just happened. Oh, it just kicked him all the way out. Okay, well, no more thinker, guys. Chases stay good. All right, we're gonna finish this bad boy out. Patchy Mix and Jakob Willax. Can I put the thing on the screen now? Share screen. I think I can do it. I think I can do it. I think I can do it. Oh,
Hey,
Thinker is back on his phone.
no problem.
Hell yeah, I can kind of hear you a little bit. I'm just how do I get this? Oh, maybe I can't actually put it on the screen. If everybody's watching it right now, you can see Thinker's face on the screen, frozen in time. This is hilarious. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. We got to continue with the fights. We got to continue with the fights. Okay, so we got, I'm going to say it for the fourth time again. Let's start the party, bro. Okay, anyway, Patchy Mix, Jakob Willax. We probably shouldn't be taking Patchy Mix because he's not very good. We realized that in his last fight after he wanted to be calling out Sugar Sean O'Malley and then had to have the worst striking performance that we've ever seen. Here we go. We got Thinker again. Thinker again. Hey, you're back? Is it you're still the connection's so bad. I can't hear you at all. Cranky face thinker, literally. New Discord sticker, literally. He's still cutting in and out. God, the internet over there is bad. Patchy Mix, Willax. Does anybody know anything about our friend from Poland? I don't. I know Patchy Mix is not necessarily the guy that I want to be putting money on. This is the guy that I'd be putting money on right here. This guy right here. If I had to put money on anything right here, it'd be that guy. Anyway, Patchy Mix, very boring. Not going to offer anything. You guys know the fucking deal. We know we don't like this guy. We do not take Patchy Mix in a fight. He's boring. We are fading Bellator bums for life. Anyway, Patchy has got to have some talent, right? Oh, God damn it, Hydra, you're making good points. Like, surely there's something there. Surely he was the Bellator champ. He was the KSW champ. Surely he's good in some regard. It was a short notice bout against Pitbull or whoever the fuck it was. I don't know who the fuck it was, Danny Ige or some shit like that. Either way, we're done talking about him. Next, we got Punahele Soriano versus Nicolau Veretennikov. Now, Veretennikov sucks, but he beat Francisco Prado. So what does that tell you? He's not very good. Punahele is also not very good, but I believe that his UFC experience is going to weather the storm for him, and he's going to be able to take this fight to decision. And throughout that fight, Nicolau Veretennikov is going to slowly and surely look more and more shit as the time goes on. First round, he might look decent. He actually does a lot of retarded shit in the fights. He looks goofy when he does them, and it's not the best thing that you've ever seen. And we got Thinker trying to join back again, and then yeah, he's just gonna lose over the course of 3 rounds. I don't think we're gonna get a finish here. Punahele Soriano is not the guy that I'd be putting stock in to finish, but that is what it is, you know. So yeah, fuck that one. And actually, what's really funny here is if you go into this next fight, you have Ramiz Brahimaz versus Austin Vanderford. Austin Vanderford finished Veretennikov 2 fights ago, and now he's fighting underneath him. Are we serious? Veretennikov got finished on short notice by another short notice guy in Vanderford, and I believe Veretennikov missed weight that fight. I could be wrong. What I would like to say is, going into Brahima and Vanderford, Brahima, oh my god, a plus 230. Whoa, UFC experience is the cage control of the old rule set. Well, you know, yeah, I don't know, dude. This next fight here, this Vanderford and Brahimaj. I mean, Brahimaj as a dog. I mean, guys, I could see the dogs barking all fucking night. So we got Brahimaj, yes. Okay, maybe that's about it. Oh, Jusang Yu, yes. Abus, yes. Oh, Alex. Ooh, Alex, yeah. Oh, okay. Well, anyway. Brahimaj is a very powerful striker, and he does have submission game. I thought this dude was gonna, knock people's heads off, but he's a submission guy, and he knows grappling, and he's good at it. And the way that he submitted Billy Goff on the ref's cam was pretty legit. So, I mean, there's just not much more that I really need to say because I would like to believe that Brahimaj is going to get this one done easily. He's going to beat Vanderford up, but I've counted Vanderford out before. I don't know if I want to do it again. I don't know. Brahimaj, let's go. Dogs barking like we're on Feet Finder. You want to see mine? Sorry, that was a joke. But either way, that would be hilarious if when Thinker gets off stream, I put my feet on the fucking camera for you guys. He'd be like, anyway. So first fight of the night, we're gonna go throw it back to Miss Veronica Hardy and a woman named Brogan Walker. She's from Guam, so maybe this is a very common name for females over there. But 9-5 for Veronica Hardy. Oh my god. One guy sucks and the other guy doesn't suck, dude. We're talking about the women here. One girl sucks and the other one hopefully doesn't suck, dude. Veronica Hardy 9-5. This bitch is just, oh god. How do you guys have records like this? I mean, I can't tell you that I'm excited to see Veronica Hardy, other than the fact that she's gonna be attractive and in the cage. But she kisses her fucking husband before every fight, so it's obviously a big no, red flag. Anyway, will she win this fight? -700 is not something that I'm going to put down on a 9-5 fucking fighter. It's just not going to fucking happen. No fucking chance. But, I mean, I can't tell you guys anything else, you know? I mean, I think that's as easy as I can say it. I mean, no way will I bet on someone who is 9-5. I don't know. As a -700, it just doesn't make sense. She's not somebody that I remember having awesome skills. So, what can you fucking say? I mean, I don't know, dude. Do not covet another man's wife. True. Dan is a lucky man. Sure as hell he is. But you know who's going to be lucky? All of us on Saturday night when we get to go over Ankalaev and Pereira 2. We get to watch it live, UFC 320 in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Everybody, you guys are awesome for chatting all fucking night. You guys are the best because you kept it fucking official and 100, and you kept us active and you kept us honest and on our toes. And yeah, it was definitely a good time to talk. Obviously love talking with Thinker. When I'm talking about Yusuf Zalal and I'm talking about how boring he is, I do get a little heated. I get in the moment, but sometimes passion, it seeps through. I want to have good fights, and I just don't believe this dude brings on good fights. And now that Thinker's not here, I can have the moment to myself to talk about how bad this dude is. But I'm just kidding. This was awesome to talk about. We had fights from last week. We had the Contender Series. We got Contender Series tomorrow. We got fights coming this Saturday. And if everybody who's here didn't know, you can watch me and Thinker. Oh, okay. He's here for the end conclusion. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, unless there's anything you want to cover.
No,
What do you guys want to do?
I apologize for the internet difficulties on my side. So
We
thank you very
can
much, Chase.
we can run back through real quick if you want to give your opinion on some. We
No,
were
that's
out
all
at
right.
Chase on and Santos. Just give your picks at least. Everybody wants your picks. Everybody wants
Okay,
your
well,
picks at least.
yeah. So I guess when we left off at
So,
Chase on and Santos.
so
Yeah, actually,
yes,
let me bring this back
Chason
up
and
here.
Santos. If you would like to make your pick on that one, go ahead.
Sure. I said that for that, I was agreeing with a lot of what you were saying. I thought that Chieson coming back would be a really nice way to get back in the win column here, and I do think that she is better than her last performance would lead one to believe. But the caveat to that is that if she loses to Yana Santos, then there's definitely something wrong with what she's doing, and then something needs to be reevaluated with her because she is someone who I had a lot of stock in the past. So I will go with Meishu Chieson for that one. I heard you talking a little bit about Patchy Mix. Do you know who this Wicklax is? Is he a new guy?
He definitely should be a new guy, but he is Polish, so you cannot count out that he can strike. He's from
Indeed.
KSW, so.
Okay. Well, I did just watch a KSW card and had some great
Oh,
enjoyment of that. So
I am 100% a liar. This dude cannot strike, it appears. He's only been finished 2 times by TKO or KO, never finished anybody else by KO or TKO, but does have 10 submissions.
Well,
So
all right. I mean, Patchy Mix, also a dude who, in the past at least, was decent with his wrestling. So perhaps a good competition there. I want to believe that with the amount of experience that Patchy Mix has, that he can actually get a win against a newcomer to the organization. He himself a newcomer, of course, still. But yeah, I mean, tentatively not knowing too much about Miklax. I don't know.
Willax.
Wicklax.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wicklax, you're right.
But yeah, I would say that my guts got to go with Patchy just off of the name recognition of the two.
Mm.
So
Okay.
you're going with
I think I agree. No, I'm going the Polish guy.
yeah,
Fuck
all
Patchy.
right. I mean, I don't know how good. You're saying that he had a lot of submission wins.
He's got 10 submission wins, only submitted once.
All right. I mean, then it could be a good wrestling exchange because I mean that was where Patchy did his best work in the past, but we shall see. But yeah, no, I mean I'll go with Patchy Mix on that one.
Fair.
Punahele Soriano versus Nikolai Veretennikov. Oh God, I hope that you brought up all of Veretenikov's past.
Yeah, he sucks. Punahele is also not that great though. So if you have anything to add to this one, I am not very excited for this one. It's going to be a decision, I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably, and not a great fight. On top of that, yeah, Punahele is one of the lesser Polynesians, unfortunately, and he's not a big guy like the Tafas or Tai. So he's kind of SOL when it comes to that. But Veretennikov really is bad. Got a win recently that was not great, but it was
Over
against
Prado, who's
yeah,
terrible. So.
exactly. So it's like terrible versus terrible there. I want to believe that Punahele can win this fight. He needs to win this fight against Veretennikov for Christ's sake. So I will tentatively side with him on that. Ms. Brahimi versus Austin Vanderford, the guy who beat Veretennikov in the first outing for Vanderford in the organization. Ramiz is a much more powerful striker than Vanderford, but Vanderford is a very good wrestler, so this is a style clash. Gut would be saying Brahimi personally.
I said the same thing, and this you said the wrestling will be on Vanderford and Brahimaj, good striker, great grappling. What I remember somebody on Twitter saying, I forget what fight it was about specifically, but they said if you are the better wrestler and you are not the better striker or grappler, you are just going to decide where the fight ends for yourself. So I want to truly believe that Brahimaj will have the advantage everywhere it goes. If he gets sat on his butt, he might have something off his back that you don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, good point. Could very well be. I mean, and also I just think that the even though the records are similar, I think that Brahimi being UFC caliber for longer, I think is going to play into his hand. Vanderford is one of those guys that can get a win over Veretennikov.
True.
So that would be where my thought process is there. And then finally, Veronica Hardy versus Brogan Walker. Good Lord, Brogan Walker, the elder states lady in these two, and Veronica Hardy really bad.
Minus 700 for a 9-5 woman. Think about that.
That is wild work for sure. Yeah, I mean, Walker is one that we saw not too long ago.
No way. Have we?
Yeah,
From Guam?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I remember for sure. And yeah, I believe that she lost her last one, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, she was on the Ultimate Fighter, actually, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not great there either, if I recall. So she's just been around for a long time. She's a long time fighter, but I mean, you'd think that she would have been around longer, considering that she's 8-4. But no, I mean, I guess I got to go with Vegas on this one, seeing something in Veronica Hardy that I don't see, but Walker maybe being the upside on this one does not surprise me if it happens, because Veronica Hardy is really not great.
Yeah, this would be a good. I would just take the over on this and just call it a day. Don't even care who wins.
Yeah, that's probably wise. I would agree with that. If I have to pick, I like my dogs. I'll go with Brogan Walker. Why not?
Hell yeah.
Well, I very much apologize for the internet issues there, out of my control. I'm glad I was able to reconnect for the end here. Thank you, Chase, very much for keeping the show going while I was gone. Appreciate all of you guys, especially you guys who've been hanging out with us for the entire show. So Hydra and Didgery Dave, you guys are the fucking MVPs of the evening. So thank you very much for that. Thank you to everybody who was in the chat earlier as well. This is obviously a very long episode for us. So appreciate all of the support there. We will be back tomorrow for the Ultimate Fighter, or at least I will. Are you doing the Ultimate Fighter tomorrow?
Contender Series.
See, Jesus Christ. I don't know why I always do that. Yes, Contender Series is tomorrow, and I will be on for that. Will you be?
I will also be on for that. Yes.
All right. So we will both be doing Contender Series. And then, of course, on Saturday, we will both be live for 320. You can find me at youtube.com/@YamaShow. Chase?
They can find me at youtube.com/@CPSmalls. And before we actually go, there's one more thing that's happening between Tuesday and Saturday. If all plans go accordingly, everybody on Thursday, me and Thinker St. James are going to be going to the movie theater to catch the latest showing of The Smashing Machine.
Correct.
We will be planning to go over this Friday early in the afternoon on stream and let you guys know all the details, and of course keep the spoilers to a minimum. But we are excited to go over this the first day that it is happening. So please mark your calendars. We are ready to have you guys talk about The Smashing Machine with us.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. So a lot of content coming at you this week. We're going to be doing a whole lot. So yes, the Smashing Machine on Friday. Tuesday is the Contender Series. Friday the Smashing Machine. Saturday 320. So keep your eyes open. I might even try to get a small video out about the Vanderlei situation. Perhaps, maybe. We'll
Nice.
see if I can fit that in. But either way, appreciate the support as always. Oh, and also one last thing, very, very last thing I wanted to mention. To all of you who supported me with donations for the new headphones have arrived, and I will be doing an unboxing on the stream tomorrow night as well. So
Nice.
come on around to the Contender Series stream, and you will get to see me unbox and try out my new headphones that were because of the generosity of you, the chat. So I appreciate you very much for that.
100%. Yeah, the chat's awesome, man. You guys were literally doing awesome things tonight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really appreciate the active chat tonight. So, all right, guys, we will close this one out. Thank you very much for hanging. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, and as always, fight on.